blah, blah, blah. I just stuttered right off the bat. Salutations, everyone. It is Matty here today with episode 190 of the H.A.M Radio Podcast.
And it's me, Karak, with ACG.
Oh, man, did I miss hearing that? Karak, I had to do this last week by myself, brother.
Oh, yeah, so, but it went well. You got it
On.
done. You got it done, so it's like, you don't need me.
And then
yesterday, I was in your Discord, and I was like, well, Matty's podcast on Friday, I said it like 11 times, and then I was like, ... I was like, I keep forgetting that, like, and I was like, I feel mad for Matty, because he's probably like, yeah, Karak doesn't really, I always forget it, other than inviting, like, a guest here and there and finding, I always feel like, I mean, you've never made me feel like an interloper, but I always, for some reason, I just forget that shit.
You're overly polite for me. You're like, hey, man, like, I know it's your show. I'm like, dude, you're like a bit of host for like a fucking
It's
year
hard
now.
to remember, though, but it's like, I don't know why. It feels like you guys have been going for like 8,000 years.
Yeah,
I don't know why, but your
technically,
podcast is...
We've been going since... Fuck, when did Lone and I start? Oh, man, I got to look this one up.
It's been 4 or 5, right?
I want to say
or 3 or 4?
5 years. Hold on, I'm going to go
5
to
years.
my playlist right now for the podcast, and I will find out for us in just a moment here.
Because I know it's been an insane amount of time.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, 190, bro. That's crazy to me.
And did you start out doing Friday, or did you guys actually do one and then wait a little while and do so those first months were
I think
more
we
spread
actually
out?
got off on a schedule. Friday we did. I think it used to be another day, but with Alone the times were always different. Sometimes we had to record at 6 or 9. I'm looking right now. Our first episode was called Fallout 4 Bethesda E3 Discussion. H.A.M Radio Podcast, Episode 1, February 15th, 2015. Holy crap! As we record this episode, it is our 4-year anniversary.
It is our 4-year. I was just doing the math going, is that 3 or 4? That's awesome.
Wow.
That is great.
That
we should have
special.
fucking...
But you know what? Hold on.
But
what's great is actually that Kiki Wonka, a guy who does a lot of art for my channel and stuff, I'll send you the picture right now over Twitter. He had made us a brand new H.A.M Radio Podcast thumbnail logo, which is now going to be used to help viewers on YouTube identify when we post a podcast, because I have this whole new thumbnail layout for my channel that I changed to about a week or 2 ago, I'd say, at this point. And
they look good. You're talking
you.
about the Jade like the first one I saw was the Jade Empire one,
right?
Yeah, those nailed it, man.
Yeah,
those like really work.
That's why I love Kiki, because I can tell him, hey man, I want a thumbnail that sticks out but isn't overly clickbaity. Like, I just want to be able to fit a logo, a picture on the right, some text that describes what I'm talking about, and go from there. And he just, I'm able to give him like little detail, and he goes crazy with it. So like, here, I'm sending you the thumbnail right now, like a mock thumbnail. I freaking love it because we're able to just change the colors. Cool. Yeah, right. So that's kind of what we're working with now. So that's, I guess, a cool way to celebrate. We're more so, I'd say, looking to celebrate on episode 200, that kind of milestone. But to those of you who've stuck through 4 years of this podcast, thank you so much. That is that is wild to think about. I was actually talking on stream on how I want to personally make one of my, I'd call it short-term goals, pushing for more guests. Because a lot of people always go, I remember this interview and this guest, and people refer to like our Rick interview from Warhorse or Tom Taylorson, and those were good ones. But I feel like, you know, one thing that was a big staple of our first 2 years was getting guests on pretty frequently, at least monthly. So that falls onto my lap, I feel, a lot of the time, and I got to step that up. So that's one thing people can count on now. I'm going to start pushing for that. Anyway,
very cool.
As always, if you'd like to support the show, you can flick a buck.
Flick a buck.
And if you do so, you can get early access to this show. You can get Patreon exclusive videos, Discord access. You'll be listed in the credits of certain videos that we may or may not be working on right now, and so on. So do keep that in mind if you consider signing up, and I hope to see you there and chatting with you in the Discord. Now, we move on to a very, very exciting week of news. Oh, man. Well, there's one sad bit, but we'll talk about that at the end. For now...
one sad bit.
For now, we're going to go through all the Nintendo Direct announcements. I know a lot of podcasts have already highlighted this, but Karak and I got to give our hot take. Sorry, you're going to have to deal with it. Let's start off with Super Mario Maker 2. Do you care at all about Mario Maker?
Now.
Now you do. Okay.
Yeah, because I believe that's 3DS and Wii U, right?
Yes.
Number one. Yeah, so I did not have a Wii U. Sorry about that. I did not have a Wii U. I swear to God, it's like fucking clockwork. I did not have a Wii U. I did not have a 3DS. And then I saw this, and I certainly, especially with Media Molecule doing their things with their different company doing, they did something on PS3. Now on PS4, they have,
Dreams?
What's the name? Dreams. Xbox for a while did Spark. I'm into those things now, and so that was actually one of the more interesting games that I saw in the Direct, because that kind of stuff means forever content. Like there's you don't have to worry about the company ever being around, because people could just make the content.
I think the key to these types of games is accessibility, because there's games like Project Spark, which I picked up. I remember I got it for Christmas, and I tried it, and I did not connect with it. Part of it was complexity. But it also it didn't feel as accessible for someone like me who is not a game developer. I just don't have that mind. Whereas Drawn to Life, I don't know if you remember those games on the DS. Like you get to a certain part in the level and they'd be like, draw a super powerful weapon that you want to use to destroy your foes with, and you
watch Let's Plays of them.
Yeah, you could draw from a sword to a fucking dick if you wanted to, and run around, and your character's just holding the weapon you drew. And I love that type of game because I think it's accessible, easy to understand, and that's kind of what Mario Maker says to me. I don't know if I care about Mario enough to hop into Mario Maker 2. We'll have to see what customization is offered there, but I like what I saw in the terms of UI. Everything is kind of like perfectly described to you just by looking at it. Like you look at it and you get it, and I think that's what's one of its strongest things. Apparently the game was a success, the first one. And so if that was a success, then I imagine on the Switch a sequel, which seems to also have co-op based off the cover, where it has Mario and Luigi, that this game's probably going to rocket off the shelves, I feel.
I actually really liked what they even showed just in the trailer. Like they showed the bell, and he was moving a bell up and down, and I was just like thinking about all these different things. Of course, understanding how much it allows you to do, but what it looked like it would allow you to do would be some crazy stuff. And with Mario Maker, if I'm remembering right, that's the one that a lot of Twitch streamers were doing, like speed runs of different people's levels. Yeah, and they were pretty crazy. And so to me, and it might even have been Let's Plays on YouTube, because that would have been a couple years ago. But to me, that kind of stuff is awesome. Like I'm super excited for that kind of thing. I don't think I'll know how to do anything. I don't know if that's going to speak to me.
I feel like I haven't played enough old school Mario. Like I played the Deluxe on my Game Boy Color. I played 2, 3 growing up, but they weren't like, oh my god, these are my favorite games of all time. These are the best games of all time. Where like I understand the fundamentals of a Mario level that makes me want to build my own. This would be the type of game that I honestly buy to play other people's excellent levels that feel like they were made by developers. I've always found that fascinating personally. Yeah. And I'm curious by seeing this how. It's a weird connection, but how Dreams will be. Will Dreams offer the same type of accessibility off the bat? Because I mean, people are making some crazy things with that. We saw the first level of Dead Space 1 already remade from Dreams.
PT. Insanity. Did you see that?
Yes, that too.
That shit looks amazing.
How?
Either do I. So here's the thing that confuses me though, Maddie. I do not believe. I did DM one of the makers of one of the better levels, and I asked him how long it took. And it seemed like it took a long time. That's the one problem I can see, especially PT. If you look at that, that is crazy. Now, if you can make that in a couple days, if a couple solid days, then you're talking about something that might change the industry. Like, honestly, and what I mean by changing the industry, I was just trying to move this to see if I could get the green screen to go away. If you're looking at like how it was made and it takes a few days, the reason why I say it might change the industry is it might make people like ourselves, where we're all, man, I'd like to make this game. What if, I think the only problem is though, Maddie, is IPs, right? I'm going to make a No One Lives Forever 3 game, and somebody's going to come down on me like a ton of bricks because it's an IP. Like, I think that's going to be the big thing. Is IP, because that looked amazing. The PT level, Dead Space, they made Dead Space where you walk out into that spaceship at the starting. I wonder what companies are going to do. Like, that's the only thing I'm worried about.
I agree. Because, like, how does Dreams market itself off of people creating other games, right? How does it craft its own identity? That'll be interesting to see. I'd never considered that. What's up?
I was just going to say, you want to see something crazy that I don't know how it exists. It's called Tabletop Simulator. You ever heard of that?
Right. Yeah, because you told me your patrons use that.
Oh, did I tell? Yeah, my patrons use it all the time, and I simply do not know how it exists because it quite literally takes games and makes any board game available on computer, and Games Workshop in particular is IP. They're very sue happy, which is fine. That's their IP. They should protect their IP. But they have not gone after all of those. And so I wonder if they think, listen, they're not making as good a stuff as we can make, but they're still going to cause people to be interested in our stuff.
Right.
It'll be the big test for, like, let's say Dreams is, does somebody make a Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine running around shooting people? And then what does Games Workshop do? And then I think that'll start the...
You know, it's funny you say that. It reminds me of actually the card game that myself and Takedown play, Dragon Ball. It's only a physical game. There is no digital version. And the only semblance of a digital version is on this site called Untap. And you sign in. It's very finicky. You create your deck through taking pictures of the cards and pretty much like stacking them all together and digitally adding them together. And it's a really truncated, strange way of playing the game. But you can play against other people online. And there are people who like to practice by doing that because, you know, some people will just play against themselves just to get a feel for their own deck. And some people will just get friends together. Some people don't have friends to get together. And I think, especially like Bandai Namco, who runs this whole card game, sees something like that. And number one, the player base is so small, I don't think it hurts them. But I think it's like you said, it pulls people into that. It gets people interested, or it keeps people interested.
It's a gateway, right?
So, yeah, and so they keep it. They're like, all right, we do this so much better. And they have an app that helps you learn the game and teaches you all the new mechanics as new sets come out. So I think their version makes more sense if you're a beginner. So to them, I think they respond properly. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I hope they continue to, because especially the one thing I'm worried about is, and I don't agree with this, and I know most people think I'm wrong, but like Carlton suing Fortnite for stealing his dance. So I don't know if you can fucking patent a dance, but whatever. Especially somebody who's admitted that dance wasn't his, and there's video proof of that. What I'm worried about is a company coming down on somebody and then everybody being worried making these things. Like, that's what I'm hoping doesn't happen.
Gotcha.
Because like Dragon Ball, I think they look, I'm sure they've looked at it, right? Somebody's told them.
I feel like they had to have.
Yeah, somebody's been like, hey guys, and they looked at it, and like we said, they probably were all, okay, listen, we're better than this. Or they even thought, hey, it's got some good ideas, let's maybe look at the future doing it. But I think if it was great, we might have the same issue we had with Star Wars, that thing you covered, the mod. Remember, it starts with an A.
Apeiron, yeah.
Apeiron, yeah. Which I don't want. I would agree. Like, I wish if you're not, you know, I understand why they're doing it. I understand why they're protecting their IP, but I wish they were a little less protective in some cases.
Yeah, like reasonably protective. Like,
yeah,
hey,
reasonably protective.
This is not going to damage us. Hey, this is, or like not just one blanket rule. Like all fall under that.
Or maybe have a common IP allowance, like where you're all, okay, we've looked at what you're doing, and we're going to allow you to use the IP for what you're doing, nothing else. And then you give it to the mod maker signs it,
right?
And then you onboard them. But yeah, it's probably too much work.
Yeah. Next on the list is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. This one's pretty quick. Update 3.0 has been detailed to some extent. They had like little pieces of Joker's model from Persona 5 shown off. They had a bunch of little blacked out question marks on screen, pretty much, I think, indicating that some new modes are going to be added that didn't make the cut in the game's first release. Like, there was the strange addition of like the strange removal of mini games like Break the Target, Home Run Derby. I'm sure, knowing the Smash Bros. Team, that there's probably some quirky random thing that no one's ever thought of that'll be added. They promoted some more amiibos, but I don't know about anyone else. I personally don't see the value in them outside of collectibles. That's coming from someone who plays a collectible card game. But yeah.
Well, same as me. I collect Skylanders. Yeah, same exact things, and I still don't.
So amiibos, I feel, you know, if you're really into just having Nintendo-based figures, there's Pokemon Trainer, Metal Gear Solid Snake, and Castlevania Simon Belmont coming in the form of those little figures. But other than that, 3.0, didn't get any info on that. We found out Joker's coming out before April. So really just more so there's something coming, and like they haven't dropped Smash Bros, which obviously they wouldn't, but you know, they're pretty much just giving info for the sake of info. More little news, Treasure Tracker, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. The Switch version is now getting new DLC, some of which is paid, new challenges and courses, and some of which is a free new co-op mode, which will be live in a couple of hours. And this was on the day of the Nintendo Direct. Like I said, this comes from GameSpot. So that's interesting. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. We now know the Defenders will be in the game, and I think we got a release date for that. Hold on. Pretty sure.
Was it a release date or a release time frame?
Actually, I should say release window. It's saying 2019. Oh, yeah, right here. Polygon, 1 day ago. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 will release this summer on Switch. So, it's coming sometime this summer. As we get deeper into this, we can narrow it down a bit because there is, in July, or I think June is Mario Maker, and August is Astral Chain, which we'll talk about at the end of this entire article. Next is Link's Awakening remake announcement. The Game Boy Classic is now coming back, and I believe that's releasing in the fall. Karak, how do you feel about this one? This seemed to be the major announcement of the entire show.
Dude, and like how many years did they say that original is out? 20, yeah, some crazy amount. But the claymation look of it, that art style, I think nails the Switch, because we'll talk about some other announcements they did which didn't nail the power of the Switch at all. Matter of fact, we talked about the game a couple weeks ago on the podcast, and we're wondering how it was going to work on the Switch. I think that game looked fucking awesome. Like, there was a couple games that did, but for whatever reason, that was one of the first to get me super interested in a Zelda in a long time. Because I wasn't the biggest fan of Twilight Princess compared to others. So, yeah, compared to a lot of other people, I just stopped playing for whatever reason. But this one looks cool. It fits portable. I don't know why I say that, but it just looks like it fits.
Yeah. The Link's Awakening was one of now 3 Zelda games that I've ever beat. I beat this one. I beat, funny enough, the one that you were just talking about, Twilight Princess, which I liked personally because growing up, when I bought my Wii, I was like, I want something I can swing my arm and the sword will swing too, and you could do that in Twilight Princess. But I also like the gritty, dark kind of feel the game had.
Wait, I'm sorry, Maddie.
What's up?
I didn't mean Twilight Princess, bro. I meant the Switch one.
Oh, the Breath of the Wild.
Yes, I apologize. Twilight Princess, I actually got to borrow a Wii and play around with the sword stuff, and I liked.
Okay.
I apologize. It was the other.
Then, funny enough, Breath of the Wild was the other one I beat.
Is the other one you beat?
Yeah. And that one I thought was pretty good, too. And it was one that had, like, a really good, I call it aftertaste. Like, I liked it while I played it, but as time went on and other games came out, I was like, wow, that was a really special game. Right. And so for me, I'm excited to go back to Link's Awakening. I'm not super keen on the art style, and I know a lot of the internet split on it. Some people are like, I like it. Some people are saying, hey, remakes have to bring new ideas to the table to make them attractive. I get that. I'm not saying it's going to push me away, but as someone who is very art style driven, what I saw, I didn't like, and I think part of it's because it reminded me of Wind Waker, which is a Zelda game I do not like, and
sacrilege.
So, yeah, I know, right? A lot of people aren't going to like that hot take.
A lot of people aren't going to like that. But, and do you know how many people thought it was Wind Waker 2?
Yeah.
When that was first being shown?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And like I said, I love Link's Awakening. This was one of the first games I ever played, man. I remember the successful feeling of getting through my first dungeon in Zelda and actually making progress after like 18 times of restarting the game and saying like, this time I'm going to get it, because I just, as a kid, you just don't understand it and you don't think, let me load my last save or something. No, you restart the fucking game.
Right.
And so, yeah, like I remember those feelings and those times so well. I like how they keep like the Goombas in the game still, which is something that's awesome because, that was at a time where IPs would just share stuff because they'd have assets and they'd say, hey, why the fuck not? Why not just throw this shit in here? And retaining stuff like that maybe is a little bit hard in the legal department, even if it's underneath the same company. I imagine there's a couple hoops that they got to jump through that they could have opted out of, but they still keep. And so that, to me, that's great. And I'm looking forward to playing this because you know, Breath of the Wild is what got me into really liking Zelda and wanting to see more. So I'm not going to let just a little discrepancy with the art style push me away from this one.
Right. But it is a big deal, too, at the same time. Like, I get where you're coming from. Because art can push you away. I mean, it certainly can happen.
Because it's brought me into so many games. It can certainly push me away. I try not to let it because I'm not graphically driven, but it can enhance love for the universe. I say that same thing with sound. I feel like graphics and sound are in the same department, albeit I think sound can at times actually be a little more important in taking an experience that's good. Like if you have a really epic moment, but like the softest music ever, probably is going to actually ruin some of that moment, or sometimes the moment needs
it won't
to
be as
quiet.
poignant, you know.
Right. And so I feel like sound can really elevate, and the same thing with a good art style. I think Crackdown 3, which we'll talk about later, I thought that had a really wonderful art style that made me want to get into the world a little bit more. So I think it can be inviting and captivating, but I feel like in the terms of elevation, I found sound to be more impactful.
Yeah, me too. Definitely.
Point in case Nier Automata.
Yeah, right. Sound music in that was next level.
Next on this list is Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. That is releasing in summer 2019. There was another one that was released late last year. It was like an 8-bit version or a 16-bit version of some type of Bloodstained thing. I feel like we've been talking about this game for years now, but it seems that's finally going out. More interestingly, at least to me, is something that I think we can really get into a conversation about. Tetris 99, a new free-to-play twist on classic Tetris that, you guessed it, pits you against 99 other players, and it's a battle royale game. The only way you can access this is if you are a Nintendo Online subscriber. It's $20 a year. So, have you had a chance to play any Tetris 99?
No, but I will tell you that this was a joke like almost a year and a half ago. The Battle Royale.
I need this story.
When Fortnite came out, we were in the Discord and people were like, can you imagine everything's going to be a Battle Royale? And one of us just said Tetris. And we were laughing, thinking there's absolutely no chance. And so watching that direct was mind-blowing. Like watching it and just being like, oh my God, it is a Battle Royale. It is Tetris. Like, and from what I understand, I can only speak for about 12 people in my Discord who played it. It's phenomenal. Now, I cannot say I've played it, but they have, and these are some people who don't even like Tetris, and they're like, holy shit, this is really good. So I'll check it out for sure.
Yeah.
I don't like the cost thing, though, do you? The weird, you have to be a... Well, yeah, I guess
it makes sense, but it's also a little strange. It's like it's free to play, but it's not. But I feel like same things with Apex Legends and Fortnite. Like you can download them, but I think you got to be a PS Plus member to access them. Actually, I might be wrong on Fortnite with that, but someone will have to correct me. But yeah, I'm gonna give that a whirl eventually. I'm not in a rush to get to it. What I think a lot of people are in a rush to get to is the Assassin's Creed 3 remaster that's available on the Switch on May 21st. It also has a remaster of Liberation and the Tyranny of King Washington DLC. So AC3, Liberation, and the DLC for AC3. Like I said, just a really, really strange remaster. I would love to see Rogue be like the one that was in the spotlight and get that on Switch. I think that's we talked about this 2 weeks ago. Just that perfect spin-offy kind of title that's now getting a second life on Nintendo that's deserving of a second life. I would love to see that, but 3 nonetheless.
3 was, I'm sorry, but that trailer was rough as fuck.
Yeah.
That was like 12 frames per second at times, and obviously optimization can be great, but a horse appeared right in front of a dude like 6 feet in front of him. Like there was a lot of shit in that. I wish they hadn't shown it, only because optimization obviously is what's occurring right now, and I'm crossing my fingers for it, because like I said, if it works out, it'll probably be my favorite version. That's what I'm hoping for, without a doubt. Right.
Next on the list is one I'm personally really stoked for: Fire Emblem Three Houses. GameSpot writes, Fire Emblem Three Houses got a extended trailer. It showed off a bunch of narrative details, and on top of that, we got to see combat and learn about how the characters will form bonds. They confirmed a release date for the game, which was in July, I believe. Let me just double check that, because for some reason this article does not have the release dates. It just says that it will have a release date. Yes, in July. I was correct. Okay, perfect. So, I loved Fire Emblem. I was on a really big Fire Emblem kick. I want to say about a year ago, I played through
Right.
Conquest, and I think what was the other one? Conquest was the harder one, and Birthright was the more normal difficulty one. Fantastic games in the terms of combat and difficulty. Character-wise, not as strong, so I'm hoping that Fire Emblem elevates that. I haven't had like a Fire Emblem game outside of Awakening that I really cared about the characters and the risk-reward elements, especially because Fire Emblem sort of dumbed down the difficulty to pretty much no permadeaths unless you're playing on a higher level. And so it seems like this one's more RPG-ish, like you run around, you interact, you can train with people, that type of stuff, and naturally in Fire Emblem fashion, you can get married, have kids, and those kids become their own characters and stuff. It's really cool. I highly recommend it to anyone who likes RPGs in general that you check out the Fire Emblem series, but I am stoked to see an exclusive one on the Switch, because you can see like the little differences where on the DS and many games that are older or on limited hardware, you'll see they try to depict a very large-scale battle with like 5 sprites, and you're like, wow, this is crazy. Like, you're just trying to trick yourself into it. But a lot of the battles in this game look to be large scale. Like, as you're fighting one person, you'll still see like 20 soldiers in the background like attacking each other, and it creates a sense of scale that Fire Emblem really has never had, as far as I recall. I think I've been playing since, is it called Emerald? Not Emerald. I think it was the one with Marth. It was on a Wii. I can't remember the name right now, but someone would have to remind me. But anyway, yeah, Fire Emblem. Is that one that you're interested in at all?
Yeah, very much so. More so, I played the Wii one as well, and that was, I think, the last time I touched one of these games. But graphically, this one definitely looks actually far more impressive. And when she like calls down the horses at one point, and actual multiple horses come out, it just, I mean, I know that people love the 2D ones, but this one just speaks to me graphically a little bit more. I will also say it's chock full of hottie anime chicks, which I thought was hilarious. Like, it is so weird that in America we're so PC that if that was done, well, look at Dead or Alive. They reduced the boob physics in Dead or Alive for its next release.
And Persona, Jesus, Dead or Alive 5 had a option to turn off boob physics.
Yeah, and then you get Fire Emblem, which, laughably enough, man, like, you got these mini skirt wearing chicks, just bodacious, stacked to the nines, and they're running around, and we were laughing during the direct, just going like, damn, like, they just don't give a shit. They're all, we will just do what we want.
There's a main character in Conquest that's very much resembling that. Yeah, so I know what you mean by that.
Yeah, it was, I mean, graphically, it looked awesome. I liked all the, I mean, I will say the narrator, I wanted to kill myself after about the 14th minute of them being like, to the north, there is a continent, but I was just like, just show the fucking game.
Yeah,
so,
I noticed that. I watched the whole thing, and I watched it late because I was streaming at the time, I think, or I was just wrapping up the stream. I don't remember, but yeah, I'm watching the beginning. I'm like, I don't want to spoil narrative details for myself. I'm just gonna skip, and like I'm 3 minutes into a 5-minute video. I'm like, they're still talking about characters in the lands. I'm like, skip. It's like the last minute. There's all the gameplay. I go, all right, fucking finally, thank you.
Yeah, it was definitely heavy on the narrative, and then it got a guy was doing the narrative.
I appreciate it.
I do in the game, but not necessarily in a Nintendo Direct.
I agree.
It looked awesome.
Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, coming to the Switch on spring 2019. Hellblade is a wonderful game.
And graphically, man, that looks good on the Switch.
Right.
I don't know if they were showing... It looked like they were showing Switch footage, because it did look like the textures were a little less, but holy shit. They can nail... And it's not made by them, by the way. We found that out today. Ninja Theory's not making it. They hired it out a third-party company like QFC or something. It's just 3 letters.
Okay.
But dude, man, they didn't show a lot, but what they did show, like, if they get that level of graphics and that level of detail and lighting, that'll be, once again, my favorite version. I will play that mobile, for sure.
Yeah, I haven't had that, like, push to go back to Hellblade. It was a game I loved, and I said to people when I did review it, that this is a must-buy. I loved the story. I thought the action, while simplistic, was very satisfying. I think Ninja Theory makes fantastic action-based combat systems that that really explore a level of depth that not many games touch. And even though this one was done down a little bit more compared to a DMC Devil May Cry, I think in return you got a story that really went into mental illness a bit, and explored it in a very creative fashion where I feel it kind of evened out the experience. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, if you Hellblade's gradually come to all systems. If you still have yet to play it, and maybe you are only owning a Switch, or it looks like a game right for your Switch, and you're on the fence about it, let me and Karak tell you that it is worth your 20 buckaroos. Really good game.
Yeah, that game is and really good time period, like a length of time. A lot of people are like, "Oh, we need 40 hours or whatever." It's like, no, you don't.
Yeah,
this one, a
tiny game.
Yep,
can beat it in an evening. Could beat it in 2 days easily. Next is Deltarune, Toby Fox's next game, which is already available on PC. It's coming to the Switch on February 28th. Chapter 1 of Undertale, with Chapter 1 of the Undertale follow-up being downloadable for free. Additional chapters which are currently in development will not be free, however.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's episodic, basically. Isn't that
that's
weird?
Very strange. You know, he strikes me as the type of guy who would just drop the whole game on a day with no promotion at all. Next, sorry.
Real quick, I was just going to say, do you think maybe it's possible that he is doing what we've hoped other developers do, where he's got most of it done and he's just splitting it up? That'd be great if it was like
if he keeps it consistent,
month.
Yeah,
you know,
or double or bi-weekly.
Bi-weekly would be even better.
That would be the perfect thing. But yeah, I mean, so I hope so. He seems connected enough with his audience to know what they want.
Yeah.
Yoshi's Crafted World is next. A demo for Yoshi's Crafted World is coming to Switch today, giving Nintendo Switch owners a free taste of the Little Dinosaur's next big adventure. Yoshi's Crafted World, we were talking about art styles earlier. I adore this. It is really what's pushing me over the edge to give it a whirl, because it reminds me of, oh my god, what is the name of it? I think it's called Tearaway. That was on the Vita and then got moved to the...
Oh, it was the paper mache game?
Yes, I think it's called Tearaway.
It is called Tearaway.
Yeah, Tearaway. And that game was really cute. Yoshi's Crafted World looks really cute. It's coming out in March, I believe. Because Yoshi's just filthy in Smash Bros, I just want to play as Yoshi and something else. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to be looking into picking up and maybe reviewing this one, depending. It's looking like March, from what I can recall right now, is a somewhat slow month. I guess anything compared to the day we had was pretty slow. But,
yeah, no shit.
Yeah, so Yoshi's Crafted World. Last is some Final Fantasy ports coming. 9's available. 8's available next month. 9 is available today. Chocobo Mystery Dungeon, everybody, is set to arrive next month, and I think 7's coming next month. But what's not listed on this, for some reason, and we simply must talk about, I personally find it the most exciting thing about this Direct, is Astral Chain.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is by Platinum Games.
Yeah.
The director of Nier Automata is directing this. On top of that, we also have the Bayonetta 2 director, I think, working on this game as like one of the higher up positions. And you are a fucking cyber cop with a thing called a Legion, which is pretty much a persona, and you're running around just destroying everything. And it seems to be almost open worldish, like a Nier. And when I saw it, I was like, that's already one of my most anticipated games. It's coming out August 30th, and I literally am already counting down. I am so stoked for that game. Did you like what you saw with it?
Yeah, I did. I had read the news that one of the directors for Bayonetta had left the same day as that was announced, and so I was confused on if it was the main guy from this or not. It doesn't look like it is.
Okay.
His name's Yasuka Hashimoto. He left Bayonetta. He was. It says he was the.
I did see
director of Bayonetta 2. Yeah. So, the reason why I bring that up only is because with Platinum in particular, we've joked where we want their A game, right? Like, we don't want their B team. We don't want their Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Korra B team, and it exists. We don't want the Scale B team, Scalebound. So I'm just crossing my fingers that we end up getting the Transformers Devastation team. We get the, and then Grim in your Discord was saying he thought Platinum is working on 2 games, which got me a little nervous because I almost like them working on 1, to be honest.
Well, yeah, technically they are, because there's Bayonetta 3.
Bayonetta 3. Okay, gotcha. Well, I'm hoping Bayonetta 3 is more of the later in the future thing.
It seems to be, because they announced Bayonetta 3, I remember, at the Game Awards. I think it was it 2017? They announced it, though. And then they just, all we know is the logo. And with Bayonetta 3, I feel like it's, with such a stacked year, what people don't realize is with this Nintendo Direct, why I loved it so much. So many people were like, fuck you, Nintendo, where's my Animal Crossing? Where's my Pokemon? And I'm like, this was such a good Direct without any of that. Imagine when they add, which we already know is guaranteed, like Luigi's Mansion, Animal Crossing, and Pokemon Gen 8. Like, it's gonna happen. Those are all definites.
Yeah, for sure.
And they didn't give us dates on any of those. And like, this year already looks stacked for Nintendo. Like, that to me is such an exciting premise that I have stuff that I'm really excited about without having the other stuff I know I'll probably be interested in. I mean, Animal Crossing I'm kind of like on, but I'm going to give it a try. I'll give it a second chance. But Pokemon, I love to death, and I know I'm going to buy that. But it's like seeing something like Astral Chain or Hellblade coming back and being like, wow, these are games I can hop to on my Switch. Or Fire Emblem. Like, that's an exciting premise to me personally. I'm trying to get some of the directors' names here. What'll happen? The trailer depicts style. This comes from Kotaku. The trailer depicts stylish anime police battling monsters alongside mecha partners and pulling up what seem to be predictive holographic interfaces to see what'll happen to people and environments around them. Nier Automata designer Takahisa Tora is directing, and Bayonetta and original Devil May Cry director Hideki Kamiya is supervising. And to me that doesn't
Which one's this?
This is Astral Chain, and to me that doesn't sound like a B team heading it up. You know what I'm saying? That sounds like, let's put the money where the mouth is, kind of thing. I wonder if after this, let's say Astral Chain is good. I don't want to jump the gun too much, but let's say Astral Chain is good. Does that eliminate the possibility of their A-Team, B-Team thing?
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Do you think, or do you think they all just work on one project together now?
Man, I didn't think about that.
Because now they're balancing 2 projects, right? So, it's very curious because they dropped Nier. I mean, granted, that was directed by Yoko Taro, and Square worked on that too, and that was like a cross of worlds, sort of. So that's not all of Platinum, but they still worked on that. And then this one does not look like, because Ninja Turtles really hid the gameplay. This one came out, delivered the universe, and then showed like a ton of gameplay. It was a very meaty trailer.
Yeah, they certainly didn't ever make you wonder what was going on in that game.
It was like a good type of what the fuck's going on, though. Like, why am I a cop who's like kicking the shit out of things with like some giant creature next to me?
Yeah, and didn't one of them throw like a boomerang or something that like, or they threw something like spun in the air and shot people or something. It was crazy. Like it was right at the starting when they pulled up. But it could have been the enemy doing it too, because it was flashing and we were just sort of going like, what the fuck are we watching right now? In a good way.
Yeah, man, I can't wait for that game though, and that was all the big announcements from the Nintendo Direct. Like I said, that Nintendo's looking pretty set this year, and like I said, this is all coming from stuff that does not include Luigi's Mansion, Pokemon, and Animal Crossing, which easily all of those will sell millions. And obviously Pokemon and Animal Crossing will sell, I feel like 10 million each. I feel they will both do incredibly well.
It's going to be a busy fucking year for them. And even if they delay a couple, which I think is absolutely possible as well. They still, and they have all the stuff with Smash still going. All the stuff. I have a question about their games, though. Is that Mario Racing game got any DLC? The one that was the that was the remake, the port or the remake?
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. It's funny you mentioned that because I was listening to Kind of Funny in the car actually before this show. and they had mentioned and said that they would love to see, because Treasure Tracker got DLC, and I know they said, oh, you know, it's funny, that would get it. Does that mean we'll one day get a new map, for example, in Mario Kart Deluxe, or a new world in Mario Odyssey? So based off what they said, because I don't know for sure, I'd imagine that that never happened, that it never got any extra DLC. I know when it launched, like, it came with Link, and it came with, like, a Hyrule Castle track. I have a decent amount of hours on that game. That is a fun game. I do hope they add more to it, because that's one of their best-selling games. I think that sold 15 million copies. Like, that's one of their highest attachment rates to their console, like above Zelda. It's crazy.
Right.
So I'm surprised that they haven't.
Yeah, I was blown away when I saw the numbers for that, the sales numbers. Nothing against that, but it's insane that that's just a port, and that obviously a port of a game people love, which is cool.
That's the other thing, is it feels like this year, like, yeah, for example, we saw Assassin's Creed, we saw Hellblade, but like a Super Mario Maker 2, like, that's an original new game for the Switch. Fire Emblem Three Houses, that's a new game for the Switch. Astral Chain, new game. Like, it didn't feel like there was that port heavy, like, okay, they'll fill in 1 month with a Donkey Kong Frozen Country, or what the fuck it's called, and we'll let that be a game for the month, even though that's a port. It felt like they finally are at the point where ports aren't going to be a constant thing.
Yeah, I think ports are just now. Ports are just going to be what they are on the normal consoles.
Right.
Just an addition to whatever else those guys offer.
Agreed. All right. Well, that is the Nintendo Direct. Let's move on to our next topic, which is February 15th games. So, a lot of games are coming out. We have Anthem next week. We have today, as we record,
Metro.
Crackdown, Metro.
Crackdown.
Jump
New
Force. Yeah, New Dawn. Holy crap. Really busy day. I personally reviewed Far Cry New Dawn and Crackdown. I played a decent amount of Jump Force because my friend got the early access for that by paying for the special edition. So those are the three I've been playing. Karak, you said you played New Dawn, Crackdown, and Metro, but no Jump Force.
Yeah.
Okay.
No Jump Force.
So,
got it, but just didn't have time.
Right on. So where shall we start here?
Jump Force, because I'm more interested. Yeah, because I don't know what that is. I saw the reviews and I was like, the fuck? Like, I'm really confused by reviews right now for a lot of games, because I think they feel off. So I'd like to hear what you think of that.
All right. So for starters, I have not made it a secret. I think based off everyone knowing, I geeked out about Astral Chain. I love anime. I'm not like the biggest anime fanboy where I've watched like thousands of hours, but I'd say I am a strong lover of it, and I enjoy it quite a bit. So naturally, a fighting game celebrating Shonen and its 50-year anniversary, and combining all these rosters of characters that you've grown to know and love. Very exciting premise, especially because Bandai can really make at times a strong, or publish, I should say, a strong anime fighter. So a lot of videos have been going around the internet about the game's story. The rumors are true. It is awful. We'll start off there. It reminds me, and we'll get into it later, but it reminds me of Far Cry in the sense of it's instantly flat. It's instantly unappealing. It's instantly a lackluster effort, and you can feel it, like an aura emanating from the game itself. Like, we don't fucking care, kind of thing. And so, yeah, that wasn't a good start for it, because the animations were really strange and awkward, which I hate to say this, but when it's 2019, there's some things in this game that, yeah, back in 2013, maybe we would be more accepting of on an Xbox 360. But it really, to me, my major point of contentions with this game is not the facial animations, which, you know, look, we've been through Mass Effect there and back again. And to me, facial animations it's not like I'm blind to them, but we've seen the worst. And when they're really bad, like they are in Jump Force, I do look in that game like I did for Mass Effect for stronger role-playing, you know, more conversations. Like, okay, if there's a sacrifice here, where are they making up for it? So I was focusing on, like, the fighting, seeing how that was, and I think I'll get into it in a second, but I thought the fighting was solid. But, yeah, the facial animations were not good. Some character models, like Deku's, I think look awful. Yeah, man. It's really I plan on making a pretty lengthy video about how this is like one of what I'd call the biggest misses of 2019 already, but also in gaming in general. It is such a
Wait. Mass Effect Master Chief Edition bad? Like where they have they neutered it? I mean, like really destroyed it?
See, the thing is, and I don't know if this would be different in the case of Master Chief Collection, but I feel like Jump Force at least has a good fighting system in place. It's very simple, but it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, man, these fucking loading screens in this game, that is... I got off topic for a sec, but those loading screens are terrible.
You mean art?
Okay. No. I'm talking like, okay, let me break down a scenario. So I love playing these fighting games online with my friends. Number one, Bandai has done it for a second time. I played Hero Academy. That game didn't have online lobbies. So let's say myself and 2 other friends want to play together. No, you can't do that. You have to do one-on-one. So first issue with this is setting up the match, because you got to let's say I think I got to preset a team, which I did originally, because it says like register your team. I click on that. Load screen. Select your team. All right, pick it.
Oh, I see.
Go back. Load screen. Fuck. All right, load up the match. Load screen. Invite your friend. It says matchmaking. Friend joins. Load screen. Now, during the time you're waiting for your friend to join, or someone in general, in a match, you can press X to practice match. Okay, I'll warm up with my characters. X, long-ass load screen. And not only that,
awesome.
but it does a full-on intro. Like, the characters clash arms, they say their lines to each other. So you're waiting about 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes for someone to hop into your games, which by then you should have a match, right? So the practice matches become pointless. It's not like a quick thing where you just hop into a training mode.
Right.
Keep your thumbstick warm. No. So your friend joins up. Load screen. Shows off the characters that are fighting against each other. Load screen. Then you fight. Once you fight, let's say I win, he wins, doesn't matter. It does not give you a rematch option. Load screen. Back to the fucking main lobby. And then you do it all over again. It is a terrible system in place. I don't know what it is. It is such a boneheaded move to make a fighter that does not have a lobby, and an even more stupid move. I'm sorry.
Lack of rematch.
I gotta call it as it is. It's fucking dumb if you don't have rematches in your fighter. Even online. Like, I'm not just talking private matches, but like public matches too. I tested public matches last night. Public matches too, you cannot rematch. You queue up for a similar match, but you cannot rematch that opponent, which is mind-boggling to me.
Does it have replay? Like the last 3 seconds of the fight at the end? Like, so you beat somebody, does it show a replay or anything?
No.
So there's no replay and no rematch? Because a lot of companies have an issue with the memory of the replay, and so they'll skip the rematch option. So there's no replay.
I did not see. Like, I did not
of the
see
last
any.
couple.
I could probably bring it up on my monitor right now.
You know how like Tekken or Virtual Fighter, you beat somebody up and then it'll show the last 5 seconds. So you're not seeing that, and then you're also seeing that there's no rematch, and it's just
what happens is you win. It says finished, and then you have your 3 members of your team all standing there. They say their finishing line, and then it brings up a thing and it says like queue for a similar match like this, which means like you set your preferences in the beginning, like round limit, connectivity options, all that stuff. You set all that up, and then you select find match, and you go in, and so they're giving you the option to find a match like that again, not find that same person, which I don't like, because sometimes there's that cool feeling, and I don't know if anyone else feels this when they do fighters online, of almost like not a rivalry, but like you feel competition brewing, like, that was a close match, let me rematch him, let me see if I can take this in a series in a best of like 5. That's why I love how Dragon Ball FighterZ did it, where I think they put you in a situation where it's always, I think, a best of 5, I want to say.
Yeah, it's a best of 5.
Yeah, and I like that, because it feels like every match, it's like, yeah, you can beat this guy once, but can you beat him in a set of 5 where you can truly say you beat him? It doesn't make it like Jump Force, which, it's not designed like fighters to be this strategic fighter. But, like frames matter, and knowing your opponent's moves matters. Like, the game's very much button mashy, but I still feel like it's crazy that even in a game like Jump Force, they don't have the option to try to outmatch your opponent in a best of 5 or best of 3 at minimum. That's crazy to me.
When you make your match, are you able to choose it there, maybe? 3 out of 5? Is
You
there
can
a
just do
option?
Well, what's strange is online. I say online as in random people I'm fighting. You cannot pick your rounds.
Right, because you cannot pick your... Okay.
But when you fight privately, you can pick up to 5 rounds, which my friends and I do just to make the match last like a couple of minutes longer.
Longer, right.
Right. So, you know, a match can last up to 7 minutes, which is solid. But the way I think of it is that game would be so much better, and my friends would be on it so much more. Because, like I said, I'll get into this now. The fighting is good, to my knowledge and to my experience so far. But it's just the hassle of getting through everything, man. Like, this game demands you to have a phone or listening to something while you're playing it because the amount of load screens that are interjected about and the lack of, like, any direction in between missions when you're doing the single-player stuff. Like, you just got to wander around this hub area and hope you see someone with an exclamation point above their head. Like, they don't even say, like, okay, now go talk to Goku or go talk to Yuffie. It's like, just find the next exclamation point somewhere in this base.
This sounds terrible, by the way.
Yes, it is a joke. It is
it's stressing me out right now.
It's really piss poor online design, and I don't know why in this type of fighting game to celebrate shonen that they decide to make a create your own character and to make a single player mode with like side missions and stuff. To me, that it felt so fucking out of place when I started hearing about it. But I was like, okay, like maybe it's a little bit like Tekken, customize the fighters themselves.
Right.
That type of stuff. Man, holy crap. Like,
so my big question is, so this is a game celebrating all these characters.
Right.
How do you fuck up the art on a character everybody already knows? You said somebody looked like shit.
Definitely,
How do you make somebody look like shit if you already know what they look like?
Yeah, so my opinion is they picked a skeleton of one character from a series and then modeled all of them off of said same skeleton. So what I mean by this...
Oh my god!
What I mean by this is you'll have the One Piece characters look fantastic.
Right.
And the Dragon Ball characters look fantastic. But then you'll have Deku from Hero Academy who looks okay. His hair looks strange. And his eyes, well, on the show, his eyes are very small compared to, like, or I'm sorry, his iris is very small compared to his eyes. But I feel like when you're putting him in a Jump Force game, for example, where they're trying to make the characters look more real to match because the idea is they're jumping universes, like they're in the real world now. So you'll fight in San Francisco as Killua from Hunter x Hunter, and it's awesome in that sense. It's a very cool concept, but to match that vision, they'll try to reel up some characters. So like Frieza or Cell, you'll see their fucking teeth when they like laugh, and it's very strange. It's yeah. And so Deku on his side of things, in such a real looking game, having someone with like very small iris and very huge eyes, he looks like he got traumatized.
An alien or something.
Yeah, it's terrifying. Right. It's terrifying. And so it really bums me out because I love Hero Academy where he hails from. And so yeah, it's not that they missed the mark entirely because I think the fighting is flashy. And the yelling while the battle's happening and some of the lines that occur during battle, they get me hype. Like, I'm a sucker for that type of stuff. It's very much just press the square button and then you can mash in some assist attacks. Seeing how things chain together. It's not super deep. I think that dodging is probably the deepest mechanic of it all. So if someone's attacking you and you're on ground level, if you hit the attack button back, you can use some of your mobility gauge and counter them. But if they are in the air and you're tapping R1, you can dodge and get behind them, but then they can dodge you. And so it becomes this game of like, do I take this combo? Do I try to get out of this? Do I waste an escape, which is you press L1, you completely pop out of the combo, but it burns your whole mobility gauge. So it's like, do I use all of that right now because this is going to hurt me really bad in the fight? But then they can keep pressuring you after that escape. So there is a little bit of, I don't want to say strategy, but there's an element of thinking involved in what is a very much casually designed fighter. But I feel like it needs optimization. If the story's going to suck, the story's going to suck. But it really needs optimization, and they need lobbies. Like Hero Academy, which is a game that came out in October. I get that's a little more niche. Like, you're focusing on one anime game. That was the most casual fighter I think I've ever played. So if that doesn't have lobbies, you know, where you can have more than one or more than two people, fine, whatever. But Jump Force, which you know a lot of people are excited for, and you know, like, you know, some people are picking up for Dragon Ball, some people are picking up for One Piece, and so on. You gotta know, like, groups of people are picking this up, not just two people who want to fight each other once and go back into the main lobby. That's just not how it works, and it's a lack of foresight and a lack of effort, I feel, personally.
I mean, I would say there's a lot of games where I've never returned to them because of loading screen. So, to be honest, like everything you've described, it really doesn't matter if the fighting's good if it's sandwiched between a bunch of loading.
Right.
So,
exactly.
like, it's gone onto my not probably ever going to get played list. Because until they fix that, I'm just not...
Exactly.
I'm not going to waste my time.
Let's put it this way. My friends and I have been looking forward to this game for a while. Not like, top anticipated games, but it's one that's been on our radars because, like I said, we love playing fighting games against each other. We always compete. And so, like, anything that's a new wave, we're all about. And this was one that we were like, we played at E3 last year, and we were like, okay, like this is going to be a fun game for us. And for us to literally sit down last night, and instead of playing this brand new game that we all spent money on, we're playing Apex Legends for 4 hours instead.
I know that feel.
That says a lot. It was almost like defeating to be like, wow, this is, I mean, Apex Legends is fantastic, but to pick this surprise game over the one that you've been waiting for, that, I think, speaks a lot to how bad the online system and loading screens are. It's really, really pitiful.
How much is the game?
$60.
Ah, really?
Yeah.
I have a feeling they're not going to do well. That the reviews didn't look good anyway, and as a fan like yourself, I think you might be more leeway, like if you like the battle system or something like that, just because, you know, you sort of understand the characters, where somebody who's a reviewer may not get this shit. And they're gonna smash the shit out of it. And loading screens, I mean, we heard it with Anthem. I don't know if you got a chance, but I jumped in Anthem. They were, and luckily they're gone. So they were in the beta, and the 2 or 4 hours, about 3 hours I played this morning, they were gone. And I'm gonna tell you right now, if they were back, that would have been a disaster. Like the loading screen, people don't realize waiting is the worst thing a gamer. A gamer will wait during a game if there's a cutscene or something, but you do not want to wait at a loading. You just don't want it. Like
nowadays, especially. I think
nowadays,
then,
especially,
it was a little more like, okay, but now it's like they should almost be entirely. I don't want to say weeded out. Like, I feel like a fighter where if you're leaving a match and you're reconnecting to a lobby that's a hub for like multiple players connected. Like, yeah, there should be a brief loading screen. But dude, I'm telling you right now, these take sometimes up to a minute. It's embarrassing.
And I heard you almost say it, so I'll for sure say it. I actually think they should be loadless. Once they do the initial load, I really do think fighting games in particular need to figure out a way so that I would say Injustice does a pretty good job.
Yes.
It's pretty fast. But
because they
even
kind of
then,
like tie the HUD into it, like the loading screen is the fighter,
and they do the slow motion punch. Like when you choose, and
they like punch each other back.
Yeah, and you know that's all fake loading.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
the moment you do that, it's preloading. Going, they're probably going to choose these guys if they, and then get ready for that the location. But loading screens, dude, we're way past loading screens in a fighting game. Again, like you said, lobbies, that makes sense for sure, because you're grabbing data from online. There's nothing wrong with that. But all of these loading screens,
yeah, because like you see a game like Red Dead, it's like one load screen in the world, nothing after that. So. Yeah, I agree. That should be the precedent. I just feel like in the situation like Jump Force, it's not even like I'm willing to be forgiving, but it makes more sense if there is loading screens in that game, because you do, like you said, you do have to come back into an online lobby. But I feel like it's just so exaggerated, especially like I feel like nervous to make a mistake and click on something because it's going to load me into some other screen.
Exactly, the mistaken button.
Yeah, it's like I want to customize my avatar, but then I click the wrong thing. I'll be like, oh my god, I hope that doesn't load into something, and it fucking does. And you're like, oh my god, here we go.
When we were talking to the people from EA, they were saying that that's why context-sensitive buttons became a thing, holding down A to choose, because people were so afraid of loading into loading screens that they didn't know. Have you ever gone into a game and you don't know if you're supposed to press A to see the option or highlight it, and if it doesn't immediately load, you're like, oh, I need to press A, and you press A, and you're like, you're this wrestler, and you're all, no, that's not who I wanted to be. I just wanted to see their goatee. So that, I think, I think in this game that would have been nice for like a little bit of context, but I think combined with lack of replay, it's a massive disaster. Because if you're able to just say, fuck it, I don't want to load again. Hey guys, do you just want to play these same characters? Yeah, okay, great. And you're able to just continue to do that. Yeah, that sucks.
It's really weird.
It does not sound like a game I will ever turn on now, to be honest. I mean, I might stream it one time.
I hate to say it, but yeah, like, I'd wait to see what they say, because, I see Bandai's like, yeah, today's launch day, like, welcome to the game and stuff, and dude, I can already tell it's gonna take off with, like, some real bad criticism over the weekend. A lot of people are gonna start shitting on this one, because, it was brief earlier in the week, because they had, like, that split launch of you paid extra, you get it early access. Right. Versus like the people who wait and I'm gonna pay $60 and get it on Friday. Yeah, they're gonna. Oh God!
I don't care about aggregate websites, but it is at 52%.
Wow,
which is horrendous. So
that's very bad for one of the more highly anticipated anime fighters.
Yeah,
very.
Well,
bad.
Look, I mean, that's why I asked about Halo Master Chief. I mean, it's such a disaster, and it was something where you can't.
Halo was unplayable based off what you kind of told me.
It was unplayable. Yeah. No, it was.
This is playable. You just have to fucking wait a lot.
Even Crazy, who you know on your Discord, he's in mine too, Crazy Herb.
Yeah.
Even who's a big Halo fan. Like, now he's happier with it, but even back in the day, like, when that thing came out, even big Halo fans were like, what the fuck has happened?
Right.
Yeah, so there is a difference there. It was virtually unplayable in many modes.
Right.
This is playable, it's just I'm not wanting to now.
Yeah, man, I hope they patch it. I really do, because if they shorten up those load times, I mean, I feel like a lot of them should be eliminated. I really do. I don't know if that's really possible through a patch, like how much that'll take. But, yeah, man, the fact that they have, like, a season pass tied to this game already, it's like, oh, boy. I feel like they're just going to add characters and not fix this shit.
Or that will just disappear. Right?
Yeah.
As we've seen some companies just drop the expansion that they made you buy.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about more cheerful products. Just kidding. We'll talk about Far Cry. Get the bad out of the way.
Jesus.
Holy shit,
what the
bro.
fuck ever.
Wow.
Dude, it's fucking... There's nothing... Sorry. Calm down. I've already exploded about this multiple. There's nothing fucking post-apocalyptic about this game.
Right? That's what I said.
It is such... And I am not a hater of Far Cry. Everybody, like Far Cry Primal I liked. I know you didn't, but I really enjoyed it. I liked Far Cry 5, except there were technical issues. I rated it weight. But this one, I almost rated it never touch. I rated it a wait for a deep sale, like $5, because it was already cheaper. It is a expansion cost.
Right.
The 39, I think.
Yeah.
40, yeah. And I had no real bugs in it like I did with Far Cry 5. But man, oh my God, the antagonists who show up and then disappear for 90% of the game, everything about it, and your base, it is the worst fucking reason for mechanics I've ever seen. They don't even hide it. They're like, here's a hexagon base with the big word of what you're going to upgrade plastered on a sign.
Mm-hmm.
Like, gun guys, fucking armor dudes, cryptography guys for your maps. And you're just looking at this place going, there was no effort put into almost anything in that game. And I am not a person who would say that. I actually think the Far Cries have more effort than most people say in some of the past titles.
Right.
But in this one, I was quite literally stunned by how poor the post-apocalyptic part was, and how poor the storytelling was.
Yeah, it was strange, man. I feel like the biggest thing to me was a post-apocalyptic game with post-apocalyptic looking weapons, but the world itself just... There was one section of the map, and it was while I was live streaming, I found it. I said, this is the only part, ladies and gentlemen.
The radioactive area?
Yeah, it's just next to the prison. I said, this is the one part that looks post-apocalyptic. Everything else is full of trees and a couple of, like, tilted light posts, and that is it.
And the cars. What were they thinking, Maddie? With the fucking straight-on cars, just hundreds of them.
Yeah.
All over the game world, thrown down for gun cover. And that was it. Like, it was so obvious. It looks like a mod. It looks like something you and I would put together, and people should celebrate that if it was, but not celebrate it if it's $40.
Yeah, dude. I described it in my review as pretty much that the reason I never recommended it to Far Cry 5 fans is not because it is not a good game. I said it just brings absolutely nothing to the table, which is arguably worse.
Yeah.
It literally, it is effortless in the worst way possible. It had, story padding for upgrading prosperity. My biggest gripe also was it was very clear the story. Some game writers always say, we start with the ending and work backwards, and it was very apparent that was the case with this. But it was so apparent because everything before the final 5 minutes of the game had no substance, had no development, did not matter all that much, didn't have depth, and was obviously short. The game was already short. It was like, what, 5 hours, 6 hours?
It took me longer. I actually did, but I tried on the different difficulties, but right. I was actually more like 10 or 12.
Really?
Yeah, but I did a lot of the side the little diamond, the
right.
little stronghold, or what, they're not strongholds, but not expeditions either, which I enjoyed the expeditions a great deal, by the way.
Let me tell you why I hate to be negative this show. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. I swear I'm having a good day, but let me tell you why. Let me tell you why I hate those. Okay.
The expeditions. Yes. Are we talking about the
expeditions? Okay. I love the concept. Far Cry's global. We got post-apocalyptic. We're seeing different states completely destroyed, or how they are after Far Cry 5. Cool. But it removes any form of gameplay choice because every time you pick up the fucking backpack, they tell you that you're there. And it becomes a horde mode.
Yeah, the GPS.
Yes, there is no stealthing to exit. There is no stealth in general. It is just run and gun. And I think that strips one of the key pillars that Far Cry built itself off of. One of the reasons why it's very much a attractive single-player open-world game, because I can go in with a bow. I can go in with a silenced SMG. I can go in with a very loud gun if I want to. I could blow the place up. I could set it on fire. And that is what's awesome about the franchise. I mean, you make a mode that takes you to different areas in these self-contained maps, which is a cool idea. You think that's room to experiment. But instead, they're like, once you pick up that backpack, they're just going to come at you. I thought that was silly. And once again, I think it was to pad. Because I feel like maybe if the stealth wasn't a super easy option, because you can stealth in fairly easily, it's exiting that can be a little more tough. But even sometimes you can get a little tricky, use your wingsuit, parachute into the exit without being spotted. And maybe they were like, wow, someone could blow through all 20 expeditions in 3 hours. We want this to last 6, so let's make it where they have to fight for 2 minutes at the end of each one. That's personally why I couldn't stand it. It removed choice, which I don't appreciate.
I think I took longer to get the pack than you did. Does that make sense? So the pack is there, and I think I explored more before. So, like, speaking of I don't want to ruin the location, but there's a prison, and
I know what you're talking about. Yep.
You go to the prison, and
that was a tougher one.
Yeah, and at first it even looks like the pack is on the roof. And you're like, oh shit, there's no enemies here. I'm just going to be able to destroy this. And then you find out, no, it's actually in the prison, which I enjoyed. But what I found with that is I would end up going around and just sort of exploring and using my helper, which I loved. Once I got the masked helper, I don't want to say anything because it'll ruin the story, but he was really stealthy. I really liked his gameplay and the reason why he was there, so I used him a lot. I found those enjoyable up until, and I mentioned the same thing in my review, I was like, why does GPS work? Not the satellites, but the phone. You've got a normal, like, Nokia phone that these people are somehow figuring out that you're running away with this pack. Like, nothing works, nothing else works. Why does the GPS work?
That's true.
Also, when you get out, and this happens with the outposts, they fucking come back. And I get the idea of it with the expeditions, I guess. The outposts, though, pissed me off that they're like, if you want to salvage it, you can get some petroleum, but if you want to give it back, you're just like, you're like, I'm going to take it over. But no, really, go ahead, move back in. But I'm going to kill you all. No, go ahead, move back in. I'm going to kill you all. And it was like repeatable raids. And it was gimmicky, yeah. And so what I did was I took the fucking place up in the northeast, and I kept the main base like you do. And that's all. I would just keep, like, if I took anything else, I would just salvage it because I knew I could at least fast travel up to the top. And yeah, it was weird. There was a lot of that. Again, it took me longer. I definitely did stealth more. I hunted a ton. I fished a ton. They're just buffer, though. There's nothing, you'll get the achievement. There's nothing special about them, but it was fun to catch a salmon. I sort of dig that. I felt that the enemies' AI on hard was better. They certainly did. Ubisoft did say that they had adjusted the AI for less people in the game world. And I did notice that at times. There were a couple things I noticed. But the one thing I fucking hated in that game is there's people driving around in their Mad Max trucks with their rivet bolted on doors and fucking hood scoops, and then your only helper, well, I think you have 2 helpers with cars, but the main chick has a Chevy Corsica, and she shows up, and you're like, seriously? The only fucking car you could show up in is the most useless, and these guys have 50 calibers duct taped to the fucking back of motorbikes. Of all the things you could have shown up in, it's that. That was I don't know why that bothered me so much, but it was like nobody reflected the apocalyptic. Like, I guess the black guy who does the quotes from the Bible, you could say he reflects the apocalypse, but nothing else in that game except for the cutscenes reflect the apocalypse at all. Nothing. Right. Not even the game or the guns. All the guns are Far Cry 5 guns. You didn't think like the models of the guns themselves, or do you mean the way they played? Some did, but the way they played, like I, admittedly, because I beat Odyssey and I beat another game, I had enough Uplay points to get the yellow neon shotgun, which just like it looked like a laser gun, but it still just shot. I dug that. I dug some of the guns. I loved the fucking chain gun, the chainsaw buzz thrower. I thought that was fun. That was thing really fun, dude. That thing was a blast. Boomerang the saw blades off of the walls and stuff. Yeah, dude, it was so satisfying. I think it was so satisfying. The gun models I thought looked excellent. I thought that was the most post-apocalyptic thing about the game. But yeah, the buzzsaw blade thing, I forgot what it was called, a saw launcher, I think. I just mean that they didn't do anything. Like the shotgun was just a shotgun. Yeah, they didn't get creative like they did with the saw launcher. And that's why I said at the end of my review, I was like, this isn't good, but I am excited if they decide to continue in this direction that they can really put a full budget into this type of game and make cool guns like that, dive more into the RPG elements, kind of like they did with Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which seems to be the way both their series are trending now. Because I did like how they separated certain bases and battles by like white rank, blue rank, orange, purple rank, and then orange rank. 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever they called it. Yeah. And while it's simplistic in nature, I kind of expected that from a $40 title, but I feel like, oh man, if they did Far Cry 6 like this and really went in on some of these, we could see some really cool ideas come out of it. Also, I don't know about you, I saw a couple videos discussing the RPG mechanics and how they're going to be this unique thing, blah, blah, blah. There's nothing in that game. That is RPG-like. You get some perks just like you got in Far Cry 5. There is fucking nothing in that game that... I don't know why people were saying that, because some people got to do previews and they were like, yeah, there's these changes. No, it just floats the fucking number up. There's nothing. It's like, take down level 1, you can take down those level 1 guys. Take down level 2, you can take down those guys. Take down... Or buy another weapon. Now you can have another weapon. Now you can... There's nothing about that isn't Spider-Man. If we're going to pretend that every game where you are somebody else is a role-playing game, fine. But that is not a role... There is no role-playing elements in that game. At all. And that was bullshit. People said it was. I think RPGs have become so diluted by terminology. Like calling everything an RPG just as a buzzword. I think Mark, because it has floating numbers. Was that why? Like, how did anybody even think that was? People got to realize that's a game. Every game with like stat tracking and like upgrading of weapons. That's not RPG. That's not role playing. Right. That's just upgrading progression based gameplay. That's not role playing though. What did we like about it? Real quick before we move on, I will say I liked the. I love that your followers drive. They don't drive well. At all. But I love that you'd get in the car and they'd be talking about their family life while mowing down innocents. I don't know why I'm okay with that, but they're like, my dad used to beat me, boom! And they hit some poor fucking traitor who's standing on the side of the road. Right. And I'm just like, I love that they can do it, because I don't always want to drive. I know that sounds weird, but in a lot of games, I'm like, you know what? Sort of a fast travel option. I used it in Red Dead 2, where you'd hold down the pressure button on the PS4 and he would ride his horse. I dug that. Actually, I like that they drive.
I liked the character writing in the game a lot. I thought the game
the
character writing, because I thought it had a good sense of humor at times.
Oh, okay.
And I know that sounds weird. As I said earlier, there was no depth, but it was like the introduction to the side characters, the guns for hire.
Oh, you mean the roster? Yes,
yeah,
for sure.
I think they did a good job with that. That was probably my favorite part.
Yeah.
Because, like, you meet this old lady and she talks about her body,
I knew.
but she looks like a scrotum in the sun. Herc saying, like, Herc gets knocked out and he goes, "Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good." You know, little nods like that.
Yep.
I always appreciate. And I got.
Don't we know we want? Have I met you before?
Yeah,
Herc, of course, is
exactly.
awesome.
Yeah, Herc is funny. I think they did a good job with that stuff, and I always thought the gunplay in Far Cry was solid, and I was glad to see that, even with all these crazy, wacky-looking gun models and the saw launcher, that all felt good. But I didn't have much positive things, honestly, to say about the game as a whole. I thought it was just a very not even middle of the line, very below average experience.
Yeah,
like, it just did everything at an okay level.
Okay, I will say this though, Maddie. You were talking about character. This is weird. I didn't like the main two characters, the BMX Bandits protagonists. Like, they were the dumbest characters I've ever seen. But later, that character you meet, and the connection with all the other games, it's not that I liked the delivery or any. I just liked that they were connecting some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to describe, and I had a hard time in the review describing it, where I even said, you may be thinking, Karak, why didn't you mention this in voice acting? It's because I didn't actually have a problem with their voice acting. It was
I thought they were well acted. Yeah.
I thought they were well acted. It was just the story. And I liked the information that I was getting. I just didn't like writing. Almost, it was almost like an actor who shows up, and if I tried to direct Robert De Niro, he'd suck because I couldn't write Robert De Niro, right? Like, that's sort of what it was. And so I didn't hate the two main Willie or I can't remember their names. Jamie. Thank you. But I like the roster. Though I still think somebody different writes the roster. I guarantee you that.
I think so,
actually.
because the roster had a sense of humor, like a real satire attached to it, whereas when Mickey and Lou were on camera, every time you could tell someone who worked in theater wrote them, because they kind of, like, as they did any scene together, they'd like cycle each other out. One would get in your face.
Oh yeah.
As she was leaving, another one would pop in and get in your
Pagan
face.
Men ripoffs. Yeah. Pagan Men ripoffs completely.
Really?
Yeah. Did you play 4?
Yes, but I don't want to say
remember
I don't
anything.
recall, but like, it's one of those things where so long ago, in one year, out the other. I didn't like it that much back then anyway. So
it was just the kind of character that's only there to push the mechanic of the game, and that's everything they did. Was, like you said, about theater, pushing the mechanic of the game. Then they leave. Like, the best part, so you don't get kidnapped. That's a plus.
Yeah.
Because in 5 you got kidnapped all the fucking time. And in this one, in this one, they knock you out a lot. I will say that you get knocked out and kidnapped a couple times, or not kidnapped, but knocked out a couple times. But they did just leave you. Like, there's one time where they have you. They have you. They have you.
I remember that.
I'm just like, and remembering that the starting when they had you, they tried to kill you. So I was like, oh shit, we're going to step 2, like, what's going to happen? And then
they're
nothing.
Just like, see ya.
They literally do say, see you. And they get in their throne in the back of a car. Like, some of the design was bad, even in, like, that kind of stuff. Dude, it was it could have been really fun. It could have been really fun. And especially that gun, make it a toy factory with that chainsaw gun.
Yeah, dude. I just think they saw Far Cry 5, one of the best-selling games last year, whether you liked it or hated it, and this was just a quick way to really extend a little bit. Like I said, I think they did a good job with a character from Far Cry, but otherwise...
I think we're talking about the same later on, right?
Yeah.
And then the roster connect... Okay, are we talking about the main character or the roster-connected character?
A character from Far Cry 5.
Masked or unmasked?
Unmasked.
You're talking about unmasked. Okay.
Yeah.
So the masked character, by the way, maybe you didn't pick up on this, so remind me after the podcast to tell you. The masked character has a connection, a major one, to 5 as well, which I thought was very cool.
Gotcha.
If you listen to what they're saying. But yeah, overall, oh, what'd you so you didn't, so Expeditions you weren't a fan of. What about Outposts? Just overall.
Fluff.
Okay.
Because of the scavenging. There just wasn't enough to turn this game around and ship it in a year. And so they do things instead of just saying like, hey, let's make a 10-hour game here, like a Blood Dragon or something, and focus on 2 good ideas we've got. They tried to like remake a full Far Cry game in this like very small open world space.
Very small.
And make it like just as rinse and repeaty as possible.
They also fucked up
outposts and like fucking 8 side missions. Like, oh god, man.
I did the math on the microtransactions, and they forgot to scale them for the smaller game. So when you get Far Cry coins from doing the diamond jobs, it's actually scaled for the much larger world of Far Cry 5, not for this game.
Wow.
Yeah, so I did the math, and I was like, oh shit, because I got some, and it was like 9. And one of the guns is like, I don't remember, 400 or 200.
400,
yeah, and I did the math, and I'm like, oh fuck, they forgot, or they did it on purpose.
I'm gonna go with option 2.
Probably, they did not do the math there, and so the gives are actually at the rate of Far Cry's major world, not at this very small too. Like that fucking world's that fucking big, man, especially with the nuked area that you can't go into. So,
yeah, pretty disappointing. And does this continue? I'll ask you with Crackdown 3. Did you like Crackdown 3?
I have enjoyed my time with Crackdown 3, strangely enough.
Yeah, my rating for this game was probably one of the strangest I've had to give out, because I was like, at $60, I was like, no, but Game Pass exists, and you can get Game Pass for $1. And I'm like, if you own Game Pass, yeah, definitely download it. And if you are looking into Game Pass, this is definitely a worthy one. I don't agree with the 5s, the 6s. I think it does exactly what Crackdown 1 did, and that was solid. It's just very... I get PTSD of Mafia 3. Big time. Because you know how Mafia 3 had sectors of the map carved out?
Oh, okay.
And you repeat the same objective 7 times, and then the lieutenant comes out, and he's like, I'm going to fucking stop you. And then you take out the lieutenant, and it whittles away at the main power source of this whole entire issue. Yeah, it was exactly like that, and I can't stand that cookie-cutter approach to map design and mission design. It's very... it's for me. I get it, because as a developer, it's probably helpful with organization. It's formulaic. It's reliable. It's steady. It helps piece together content and keep your ducks in a row. I get it. But as a player, it doesn't feel exciting to do. Fortunately, a lot of the objectives are quick, though. I feel like, for example, the machinery part, I breezed through that in like 30 minutes to an hour and finished the boss for that sector. But the bosses themselves, I thought were not good. I don't know if you agree, but yeah.
I have not. I've only played 5 hours.
Oh, you have?
About 6 hours now. And
it's not
I will say...
It's a very short game.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I will say the one thing that pissed me off is, you can call it what you want, but it's a fake nemesis system.
Yeah,
I don't ever want to. Yeah, I wanted to punch myself in the face, because I was in the middle of the stream and I saw it, and I was just, because I played the multiplayer, and multiplayer was, I enjoy it. I enjoy the movement of the game, and I love Crackdown 1. So all this kind of stuff was nowhere near the 5s I was seeing. Like you said, the scores of 5s.
Yeah.
And I went in there, and that nemesis opened up, and my balls just shrunk, man. I was like, I'm sorry, but I am not a huge... I see people bringing that up. Every game in the world needs a nemesis system. It should be in racing games. It should be in... And I'm just like, guys, it works in that game. It will not work in every game. And while they didn't come and go or anything like the nemesis system, the fact of just seeing them pop up, when I saw the first one pop up, and it's like, you need to collect data on getting the other one, I don't know what it was, but that felt like a company that had been working on a game for a while, and that the first game had come out, and they saw the nemesis system, were like, that's cool. It felt like old. I don't...
Yeah, it's time caught up.
It was an old time. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, for what it does, like the collectathon of orbs and gradually becoming more powerful, and it felt good to play. I mean, like it's very much popcorn flick, summer flick type video games. Like, it's just turn off your brain and enjoy the fireworks and go crazy. Like, it's a game that, you know, if you're one of those people who plays online with your friends and you can't get engaged in that story game, you fire this up, you don't really got to pay attention to any shit that's going on. It's that type of game, which is why I say, like, if you're a Game Pass owner, yeah, but like if you got $60 clutched in your hand, and you're just waiting to spend it on something, like, yeah, not here. Sorry.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and I would say graphically, I liked it. I love the look of the world, and also music-wise, I fucking dig that game.
Really?
The start, yes,
I didn't say
the
that
main
about
theme.
Far Cry. I should have mentioned that. I did like the music.
Oh yeah, Far Cry's music is good,
Really
isn't
good.
it? New Dawn, yeah, especially the starting guitar / string section bit that they did. But no, the Crackdown, I happened to leave it up while I was getting ready to stream, and that just overall techno beat, I was like, oh man, I really dig this. I don't remember too much in the game because I have it turned down when I'm streaming. Gotcha. So I'll listen to it more when I get a chance. But is it good later on, or does it play much?
Yeah,
Crackdown 3?
It's very much a I consider it front loaded, like the first 5 hours, 3 hours.
I see.
You know how everything you pick up, you instantly have. So you pick up a shotgun, it's yours forever. So you're in the beginning, you're like, oh my god, like 35 weapons. Holy shit, I'm gonna be really enjoying this, you know. But then you realize after 3 hours you have 15 of those weapons. You're like,
okay, gotcha.
You're like, oh fuck, okay, I see what's gonna happen now. And you realize a couple of them are locked behind the shooting orbs. You're like, okay, so there's some there. So that means I probably got like 10 more to discover, and I still have like 8 more sections of this map to go. So probably I'm gonna be playing with the same things gunplay wise for a while. So it's front loaded in that sense.
Okay.
It's in a different way. Where Mafia 3, like I compare it to a lot. Mafia 3 was story front loaded. Like the first 10 hours, oh man.
Yeah, and then it just fell the fuck
so
apart.
Good. And then afterwards, like the open world hits you, you're like, oh, it's repetitive as fuck. Similar thing here, except this one I think a lot more players are going to be a little more chill about because it's shorter and because there is the multiplayer, which I think folks will dig.
Would you say 8 or remembering that I took longer because I was just running around.
Tops. It depends how much.
That's
15.
That's not bad.
20. It depends how much collecting you want to do, how much side content you want to engage in. Yeah, 15 to 20. Like it's solid.
I love the orbs too, dude.
Yeah,
I love collecting them.
I guess the thing that happens is a lot of people equate a long wait as the game has to be longer. I've seen this a lot with Kingdom Hearts 3. Like, since 2013 for that, and people are like, game was way too short for how long we waited because it's about 30 hours. I beat it in. And I'm like, but you got to realize the game pretty much got scrapped and redeveloped.
Yeah, that's not how development works.
Yeah, yeah. People need to realize that because the reason it was in development hell is not because they're like, let's pack this game full of content. It's because something wasn't working and they had to fix that. So adding shit got stalled probably. And the same thing applies to Crackdown 3, and I want folks to know that because it's not this gargantuan, super long game. It's fun, but you're not going to get limitless content, which... We're seeing the industry trend that way again, which I like. We don't need limitless. We need truncated, condensed experiences with focus.
So I have a question then. So you have Forza, which I know you didn't get a chance to play, but you got Forza, which I would consider a top-tier racer. Then you have State of Decay 2, which was fun but buggy. Then you have Sea of Thieves, which was...
you'd say? Have you played it?
Oh, it's much better. Yeah, we actually did a stream, and yeah, we had a good time.
Nice.
And the expansion was fun. Cool. And then you've got Sea of Thieves, which... looked gorgeous and then has done a great job with adding. Does Crackdown look like it's the same kind of setup where we are going to see, I don't know what it would be, a new city area? Does it look like, do you feel like, because I also saw a ton of agents. Like, there's no creative character.
Really,
there's like a
the agent stuff reminds me of oh my god, what was that game by Volition that you and I thought could have been fucking
Red
amazing?
Faction?
No.
Mars turd?
They made...
Oh my god,
Saints
Agents
Row.
of Mayhem.
Yeah,
Jesus.
very similar. Remember how in Agents of Mayhem, I think you'd switch characters and their abilities weren't that different? Okay,
Yes.
so dumb that down even more. In Crackdown, you switch agents and you just get different XP multipliers. Or boosts, I should say. So, one agent...
Oh, so those little things are all you get? When you highlight them, they say +5 to jumping or whatever? That's it?
Like +5% agility XP, plus 10% driving. That's all you get based off what I've unlocked. And yeah, it's very disappointing because I thought to myself, oh man, like imagine if one agent has like a special melee combo that only they can do.
Right.
And one can jump the height of a 2-story building compared to someone else. Man, that would be excellent because then... you have a situation where the game has some challenges, which I think is awesome. It's very arcadey in that sense. and maybe certain challenges can only be completed with those agents. It would have been awesome. What I think they could add in, the game is very sandboxy, I guess. So I'd say adding more weapons, adding more vehicles, and adding more mission types into this space would be awesome for starters. Because like I said, it is, while rhythmic and formulaic, it is like a fun thing to play.
Yeah, it is fun.
It's just fun, you know, and it doesn't offer the depth where I'd say $60 is where it's slapping down. But like, if you are a Game Pass subscriber, it is a good addition to that library that is constantly growing. And I'm talking about the exclusive section. Like, yeah, it's got a bunch of third-party games in there and stuff. That's great.
Right.
But when it comes to first-party stuff, yeah, it's not like Sony level shit here, but it's fun. Right. And I think once again, it's another one that down the line will be that over-the-top thing. Like, oh, this game came out, it's amazing, and I can get this, and now Crackdown 3 is on that list too. That's how I look at it.
The only thing that bothers me, though, Matty, is that it feels like Microsoft has not got to the level to where the first offering is at the level that Ubisoft has been doing. So Ubisoft also does this. Here's a game, and then a year later.
Right.
Rainbow Six Siege was whether you liked it or not, there was a solid amount of content when it came out. For Honor, ton of content when it came out, or there was a lot at least. And then they updated them.
Honor more than Siege.
Then Siege, maybe, yeah, because of the operator numbers. So you get these games where I think Microsoft should take a little bit of an idea from Ubisoft and say, if we're going to do a Crackdown, it needs to have more content day one, so that people remember it. Because Sea of Thieves only really became repopular, not because of the patches, because many had come out prior. It was because a couple Twitch streamers were paid to stream it, and then it became popular again because people saw them. And I would love for it to become popular again because people are surprised that a somewhat meaty initial offering is getting more, which I think Ubisoft just does a better job at.
And we kind of see that with Nintendo, as we kind of discussed earlier. So yeah, I agree with that. I'd love to see that kind of happen with one of these Microsoft games. I think, State of Decay is a little, I wouldn't call it meaty, because it is a small, once again, that's like a 20-30 hour game, I'd say. And they add on to it with the new expansion, so it is a little bit bigger. But yeah, Forza is probably a good example of like, this is a big game.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, man. Not everyone's into driving and racing and stuff.
Exactly.
And they need
a lot of people are into fucking zombies, dude. Yeah. I found that out the hard way.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like they need to have like a nice open world game with like a strong story.
Yeah.
Do well, and then build off of that.
Microsoft is probably the one company I actually feel would probably put enough work behind a Star Wars or a Marvel game with like an online game, where I actually feel like Microsoft would be like, holy fuck, we need to make this, like a Spider-Man, but with multiple characters. Or, I don't think we'll see it. It doesn't look like Phil Spencer's into that, but I do feel that they have the money to actually do it. I don't think we'll see it from them, unfortunately. I would love to see somebody else handle Star Wars, but that's a whole other conversation.
Is Metro. Let's hear it.
Yeah,
yet.
So I'll just say that a patch came out today and seems to have borked a bunch of shit, unfortunately. Where some people in the Discord and on Twitch were streaming it, and I was watching them, totally smooth. Other people having tons of FPS issues and jank. So I don't know what's going on there. That was this morning. But at least what I played, phenomenal, really interesting title, and a typical Metro title where everything's slower. So when you come from Apex into that, holy shit, dude. Like reloading a weapon in that, you're all, please, would you reload the fucking thing? You're just like, my God, because you're so accustomed to, even Far Cry, where like reloading that assault rifle, you just are like, chicka, chicka, and then you can tell he's like supposedly putting the other one away. That, man, Metro ain't like that. Metro's like cocking the pneumatic gun or BB gun.
Yeah, I remember that from the demo.
Yeah, so there's that. There's some AI issues, some clipping issues, but overall, I thought it was a really solid game, really enjoyable. It is a different style game, and man, way different than Far Cry in its cutscenes. These are like, they told them to say, it's almost like they said, here's what we want you to get to the player, do it your own way. And so you have these cutscenes that are very, and very heavy on narrative, but also very heavy on diegetic stuff, like, you know, people listening to a radio and then talking about it in a major cutscene. It's a weird feeling, and some people have loved it, and some people have absolutely hated it. I liked it, but I get why people didn't. Because there were times where I'm like, holy shit. And I think I even said in the review, people who expect a boom, 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 boom experience, you're gonna have to skip a cutscene or two, because that's not the way the game goes,
right, at
all. But graphically, looks really good. Performance on the consoles was good for me, but again, there's some issues with this patch. I think they borked it. We've had bad patches before, so hopefully that gets fixed. But yeah, it was fun. I mean, have you played the Metro Last Light and
yeah,
2033?
I love them both.
So the slow thing. Remember you played this? Where'd you play this? You played
E3.
Exodus somewhere. The slow thing is definitely there.
Okay.
It's not to the level that I'm thinking that you were worried about, but it is absolutely. Again, you have to ignore Apex, but if you look at Far Cry, which was the only comparison I had because I was playing both at the same time, what you experienced is for sure occurring. There is a slowness. He is not. You can't slide. I don't know about you, but now that I've played Apex, I'm trying to slide in every fucking. So did I. Oh. And he wouldn't. Remember, he pauses and then like.
Yeah.
And
then he like stops. What in the dirt.
What is
that?
With that?
And I put out a tweet. I was like, I can't be the only one dying from fall damage and after Apex, bro.
Oh,
I am jumping off of fucking cliffs everywhere. I'm like, I'm fine. I land, I die. I'm like, why did I die? Oh, right.
Yeah, and dude, it'd flash up the X for the parachute, and I would be like A, because I would think I was just going to slide somewhere, and I would crash into the rocks. I jumped off multiple things in Far Cry. Metro, there's a little less ability to do that because of the open world. I think the open world's cool. The way they do it is like, here's a mini Fallout, here's a mini Fallout, here's a mini Fallout, and you go to one place, you do your missions, very organic side missions, are really fun, organic. Like, one of the best parts is you'll be talking to a dude, and instead of highlighting shit, he'll say, see that crane over there? And you have to literally get your binoculars and find what he's talking about, because he's still talking. He's not waiting for you. He's like, see that crane over there? Yeah, that's where there's some bandits, blah, 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 blah. And so you're like, fuck, I got to get my, I got to find out where he's talking, because then he'll go and see the building to the northeast. And then you have to, yeah, he'll just keep going. And you have to be like, what the fuck? And then those are on your map section. Also, I would tell people, start it on the hardest difficulty, without a shadow of a doubt. Do not start it on easy. You will not be happy. The AI on easy is...
Yeah, Metro's notoriously struggled with AI, and it's
not dude.
In the past.
They're just like this. The entire time you walk up to them and you're like, what's happening? And then they see you. Yeah, and on medium, they get pretty normal, still make some mistakes. There's definitely some graphical issues that can occur. They can walk across a building that isn't there. I put that in my review. There was a couple dudes just floating in the air. Andromeda is what it reminded me of, because I had that all the time in Mass Effect. And then you put it on hardcore, though, and dude, I will say this. It did what Red Dead 2 did not, and this is a pretty strong statement, but Red Dead 2 never made me want to clean my weapons. It just didn't impact my game. Mm-hmm. I never worried about eating. I was probably the most emaciated, dirty Arthur there was in the game. I didn't worry about showering. I was just like, it's not making an effect. But in this game, you do have to clean your weapons, and if you raise the difficulty, the number of repair stations out and about goes down. And that really did make it so it was like on the hardcore, you had to basically truck back to your train. And that's the way the game's set up. It is survival first, shooter second. It's absolutely something that people should pick up on if they're going to play it. Yeah, so interesting game. Not a blockbuster, but good.
All right. And now we've got some news after those long discussions. We'll start off with Warhorse. THQ Nordic at it again. They have acquired another studio. This time it is in the shape of Warhorse Studios, who worked on Kingdom Come Deliverance. This comes on the 1-year anniversary of Kingdom Come Deliverance, where they announced 2 million copies sold. Yes, it was. So, happy 1 year to that game. What do you think about this? Because as far as it goes for me, I like the acquisitions they're making, like, for example, Warhorse. I like them getting Kings of Amalur. I think that's exciting. But they're one example so far of their work. Like, for example, Darksiders 3, I did not like.
Right.
I did not think that was a good game. I know that the budget was small, and I know that there was a story that came out afterwards saying they met internal expectations, like the game broke even. They didn't say like the game did well. They just said it pretty much broke even. So I don't know how I feel about a company like that having Warhorse, who was very experimental with Kingdom Come Deliverance, and I think brought some really good ideas to the table. Kind of having their hands in the pocket. But overall, I'm happy that some hardworking folks are going to have a little more job security. What do you think about this?
I do think people need to remember that Nordic is owned by two publicly trading investors, and so the reason why they said what they said was to raise the price of the company stock. So that's, if that was me or you, let's say, and we weren't private investors, there's a very good chance we wouldn't have said if Darksiders broke even. So I know some people are like, oh man, I appreciate their transparency, and it's like, actually, that's sort of normal for what an investor would say, especially a big investor like the people who run Nordic. It's two brothers who are multi-billionaires. That being said, I agree with you that I don't like the one bit of output I've seen from them. And I don't know, from what I played of Darksiders, and when I beat that, I did not feel like their QA was amazing. And I'm very nervous because the QA for Kingdom Come was shit already.
Yeah.
So Microsoft has issues, right? And Obsidian does. Microsoft has issues, but they got a bunch of money. Obsidian has issues with QA, and I worry about these companies coming together, and I hope that they say, okay, we want QA to be increased. Piranha Games has issues. A lot of these companies have QA issues, and I think Kingdom Come Deliverance does, the developers. And I'm nervous that they're not joining up with the right team to look at that weakness and say, okay, this is the one place we need to fix this, instead of just saying, look, it did well, we'll just do another one. And I'm not 100% sure I want another one.
That's where they're looking.
Me too.
Because they're just still doing DLC for it. I think Band of Bastards came out last week. And I said that I feel like with the investments that are going to be in it, it's not going to be for more DLC, because 95% of its Steam-based dropped off after a couple of months. So I personally feel like Kingdom Come is their next step is, let's do a sequel. And so,
yeah, me too.
For
dude.
that, I'm not upset about that. I really did like Kingdom Come Deliverance. I think it was buggy at launch. I hated that lockpicking game, but I thought I really liked the survival to it. I love the fast travel. I love the art. I love the combat especially. I thought that was super unique. I thought that was very fun. And it is a testament that Kickstarter games don't always suck. That was another thing.
True.
It came out and it was not bad. I thought it was a good game. And that's great to see. So, overall, I don't hate that they'll be around to make another game. Not that you do, sorry.
Yeah. No, that's all right. I know what you meant.
But, I do have my concerns. For sure. And it's more so for me, it's buried in the Darksiders 3 aspect. I feel that game was not good. That was a game I'm pretty sure I think I outright said just pass on,
I think I said deep sail and you said pass completely.
Yeah, because the loading screens and that, I was talking about Jump Force. I mean, that game was so oof.
And they lied. They fucking sorry, but their PR lied when they were like open world bull fucking shit.
No.
That game locked you off of
Souls.
Right.
Dark Souls type of open world,
Yeah, where it's like you can't even go somewhere without a special this or a special that. And I'm just worried about the QA more than anything. I love what they did. I just think it was really buggy. And sometimes you're nervous. It's almost like, your best friend who's emotional gets with somebody who's emotional, and you're a little nervous about the relationship. You're like, uh-oh, right? There's a lot of drama there.
Yeah,
it's going to be like Days of Our Lives. And that's the way. That's sort of when I look at it, I'm like, man, I'm a little nervous. I hope it's not like that. But Darksiders didn't make me feel like, we're for sure in the green here. I'm a little nervous about it.
What also worries me is I remember in that same report, they referred to Darksiders as a key IP.
Yeah.
And that was, to me, I should have mentioned this early, but that to me was the strongest point of because if that is how you approach a key IP, I don't know if Kingdom Come Deliverance, it should be treated as a key IP, I feel. I mean, sold 2 million copies and was very much like niche, but I digress. I feel like if that's how you're going to treat your key IP, where, you know, there really wasn't great PR, it didn't feel like there was a lot of investment on the product. It was definitely not ready to go when it did, and it released at a horrible time. So the fact that it broke even is actually pretty insane.
Yeah, for sure.
If that's how you're going to treat that, though, then how are you going to treat games that I do care more about series-wise, like a Kingdom Come Deliverance?
That you don't consider, or that they don't consider a key IP.
Yeah, right. It's like, okay, if that's not a key IP, then what is that to them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what's good about that news, though, is I imagine we're going to probably get a Darksiders 4, and maybe they'll try to dump more into it, kind of like how they did 1, safe, 2, went big, 3, safe, maybe 4, go big. I hope, at least.
And Kingdom Come, regardless of anything I'm saying right now, they have easily the most successful and most fucking stunningly good DLC I think I've ever seen for a game. Like, really? Those guys release DLC a lot. It's substantial. And that, to me, is probably the number one thing that's really surprised me with that. Like, every time I talk to Rick, the guy that we had on the podcast,
shout out to
like,
Rick.
he's always like, dude, we got, like, they really have been nailing the amount, whether it's good or not, I don't know, because I haven't really got a check. From the people I've talked to, they've liked it. But it just seems like a good release schedule. They've been late once, I think. But, yeah, man, hopefully maybe that's where Nordic steps in. And Nordic's like, okay, we're going to give you the money to make sure that whatever you do next is right on time. And, you know, has whatever support you guys need. And I'm going to be honest, Deep Silver's PRs, or not Deep Silver, Darksiders, who was that? Nordic, but they used somebody else. I didn't think their PR was very good for Darksiders. I don't think we saw any... Yeah, please do. I don't think we saw any real good communication on that. If I remember right, it was like there was some issues with codes. It was sort of a clumsy.
It's just saying, I just didn't know if it was like there was a co-publisher or anything.
Is it just them?
THQ.
Okay. Yeah. You know, you get that with some PR for sure. I've had it with Deep Silver too. So this last one was good. Metro was fine, but yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy for him, man. I mean,
averaged like a 7 across the board pretty much.
What did? Darksiders?
Darksiders, yeah.
Yeah.
73 out of 100, 69, 64, 7 out of 10, 62 out of 100. About exactly what I'd expect.
Yeah, I mean, I think...
Which sucks, because 2 was awesome.
Yeah, see, that's... I don't know how much of the reviews for Darksiders 3 were on the nostalgia of 2, because the people I talked to who liked 3 quickly soured on it. So that's what I think's interesting. Like you said, you were like, don't, you know, right, I mean, it's just not really worth it. I liked it a tiny bit more, but the people I know who really were like, man, I'm really liking Darksiders 3, quite literally the next day in Discord, they were talking about another game. And it was like, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, dude, it's the same thing over and over and over and over again. Yeah. So that worries me.
I agree. Last on the list is the Activision story. So a lot of people talked about the layoffs with Activision. Our heart goes out to those who were affected by those. But little spin on the story here. We know what happened with Activision. We know their their CEO is clearly a fucking scumbag. But what's interesting here is a article from PC Gamer came up, and it says Ubisoft reports strong profits. Does not fire 800 people. So in an earnings call, Ubisoft CEO reported that the company had a very strong third quarter, and in a shocking twist of events, the publisher is not laying off 800 people. Now, Jason Schreier had taken this headline and put out a tweet saying headlines like these are cute and all, but this piece doesn't tell the whole story. Ubisoft can grow and avoid layoffs because it gets many millions in tax credits from Canada.
Yeah,
only way workers can actually fight for stability and leverage is to organize. Now, I thought, wait, Activision has Beenox. Beenox is definitely located in Canada. So I asked him, I said, Beenox is a non-factor. I don't really follow. And Jason said, Beenox isn't relevant to this. Ubisoft has a massive presence in Montreal and Quebec. in large part because it has a deal with the Canadian government to keep X people employed in exchange for Y millions of dollars in tax credits. This is a Ubisoft specific thing, which to me, I said to him, it sounds like a matter of presence plus the deal. Now, there were some people responding saying, actually this one guy posted an article that headlines, Canada's video game industry welcomes federal government commitment on high-skilled foreign workers. He said that Ubisoft could easily fire 800 people in business units around the world provided they didn't need them. And he said it's not because he posted another article that headlines, Electronic Arts planning to invest $500 million in Quebec's video game industry over 10 years. So let's see here. It says the majority of Ubisoft's most expensive workforce is actually not based abroad in Canada. Well, I'm not sure entirely, but it's just food for thought to add on to the conversation here. More so that we saw Activision report record earnings and fire 800 people, and we're seeing Ubisoft report strong profits and not laying off 800 people. So what gives? What is the difference here?
The one thing that Activision did say in their announcement was that many of these are not in game development. They're in the they're in the accessory area, like esports and stuff. I will say that I do agree with some of that because I can't remember which game it was, but there was like 5 influencer managers for just one me on one of these titles. Right. And I think so when analysts inside of a company decide, oh, the next big thing is esports or something like that, they prepare for that. They decide that's where they're going to grow and where they're going to do things. And what it does sound like is Activision has looked at and this is coming from somebody who's been laid off for this very reason. So I'm not making excuses for anybody. I was laid off for the identical reason. Mm-hmm. And it does happen. It is business. So, like, let's say you decide esports isn't your thing, then you have people whose skills are not in development. Their skills are in esports. Their skills are in PR for esports. And if you're not moving forward for that, a lot of people just want they want almost a socialism or like not a communism, but they want like a leveling playing field. It's like, okay, you for sure hold on to those people. And it's like, that's not really how business works, unfortunately. And like I said, I was laid off for this very reason, because the entire thing moved a different route, and that's not where my skills were. It sucks, and I'm sure it wasn't all those people. It sucks because they said they did really well and then laid off. Like, that's the timing thing, right? Like, that's they didn't explain why they were laying these and they don't have to.
The idea... I get where you're coming from. My train of thought as someone who's not worked in that field or had that experience is, how do you report record earnings, give your CEO a huge bonus, and then lay off these folks, even if they aren't, I put this in quotes, like, necessary to keep around? Like, that's what I don't necessarily understand personally when I look at this. Is I get it, like, if the money comes in, it probably goes other ways, not just straight to that one department. But if they are reporting, like, hey, we're doing really well, what's the benefit in trimming off fat if they're doing well with those workers already there? Or do they just stand to gain more by getting rid of them because they view them as unnecessary as a business, and now they can take more money for themselves, like the CEO? So the CEO, usually CEO bonuses are not tied to the company proper. That's something that I don't know exactly if almost anybody realizes. So the 12 million isn't stolen from the pockets of Karak if I work for him. That's not how it works. So different divisions have different amounts of money. Admin division has a certain amount. Fiduciary has an amount. Development has an amount. And this is why when we talk about, like, if this developer goes down and disappears, this one isn't affected. So you have to take the same exact, explanation of that and understand that that's the way CEO bonuses are done. Right. Also, CEO bonuses many times are done on the idea of future profits. So the money is almost like the bonus is almost like a bank account. So it's not. A lot of times it's like, yes, it is this money, but it's the idea is that CEO will bring in more than that. So this is sort of this is
we think his expertise level is this. It's a signing bonus for a superstar on a football team. It's identical. But you still fire sometimes your assistant coaches. It sucks. And it probably doesn't make full sense, because I'm certainly not saying they're not greedy. But I think that when you look at it, it makes more sense than people are assuming, but probably less sense than it should, if that makes sense.
I get it.
Yeah, and it sucks. It sucks. But the thing is a lot of companies choose to go a different route. Microsoft has done this. People like always forget. Microsoft's destroyed entire divisions, including their phone division, which was massive. Windows Phone, and they were like, whoops, not working. And those guys were gone. I have friends, I have people in the Discord who worked for them who were gone because of that, because Microsoft chose to go a different route. But it didn't stop Microsoft from then hiring somebody and giving them a bonus, because they're not connected.
It's like separate budgets for each division.
They're separate budgets, yeah.
Okay.
And especially myself, I worked with a budget, and I'm sure I can say this, but we worked with a budget of a couple million, and that did not stop another smaller group from needing money in any way, shape, or form, because you weren't even allowed. In fact, there's many laws that in some places will stop you from taking the money from this one and moving it to there. In fact, one of the biggest people who's known to have done this is, what's his name from Borderlands, who got in all the trouble.
Randy?
Yeah.
Right.
Randy was set with Alien Isolation, moving money. Dennis Dyack, who made Too Human for the Xbox, and he also made Eternal Darkness for the N64. He got in trouble for moving money from one development group to another. So, because contracts are signed for specific groups. I honestly think a lot of this is probably Activision also just cutting fat because things didn't work with Destiny 2. I honestly do believe a lot of this is because they exploded. You build up, right? You're like, dude, Destiny's we're going to have fucking esports Destiny championships or whatever. And you hire Maddie to handle fucking YouTubers, you hire blah, blah, blah. And then that doesn't work out.
Even if Destiny still lives on, but they're under Activision. Okay, I got you.
Yeah. And then you look at like Maddie and you're all, okay, he's got skills for fucking, these games and esports and presence here and there. Can we move him? Because one thing people forget is that companies don't want to just fire somebody if they got experience. You want to keep those. It's very important that you do. In fact, I'm usually against firing somebody if they've got in trouble, like a fist fight, for example. Like I've seen that happen at work, and I've been one of the people that advocates for training the person to not beat each other up, but you don't want to lose the experience of the person because they bring in a shit ton of experience. So everybody, you always look and go, God, do we really want to lose this person? Do we want to lose this person? But a lot of times you're like, dude, if we keep them, there's quite literally nothing for them to do. So then you decide, do you retrain? And then you also say, do we need a second person? If whatever we retrained them on, do we need them in this other place? And sadly enough, Activision's money that they're taking in is apparently going somewhere else. And I don't know where it's going, because they did say record earnings. I just don't know where the earnings are coming from. Is it Black Ops? Because didn't Black Ops just today...
better than Call of Duty Black Ops 3. I know it was like the best-selling console game, or one of the.
And did you hear that they, because of lack of players, just today they patched out a couple modes? Did you hear about that?
No.
Yeah, that was on Reddit this morning.
I enjoyed Black Ops 4, but that game was very strange with how it was handled.
Yeah, it was. And it was short-lived. Like, even you were telling me. You were like, dude, I'm loving this. And then I didn't hear you talk about it anymore.
Because they didn't do stuff like League Play. Like, that got delayed like 4 times. Really strange. What else was there? They announced Crash Bandicoot had 10 million. And I imagine Spyro was pretty generous to them.
10 million sales?
Yeah, crazy.
For Spyro?
For what's his face?
For Crash. Sorry.
Crash.
That's a lot of sales.
For just pure single player, like no microtransactions, nothing, just pure 10 million sales. That's crazy to me.
Yeah. I mean, from the outside, I certainly agree with everybody. It's just that I think some of them make total sense. A lot of them don't. It sucks.
Yeah, it's awful
just
no matter
that
what.
It's awful no matter what, yeah. And as somebody who, like, I had my family who was like, dude, it sucks you got laid off, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, you do look at a company, and if they're not going your route...
You just know, it's... From my perspective, I feel it's awful, I don't like it. I wish there was a way to stop it. I hope that there is a way for people to maintain jobs at least longer, or to give warning if there's going to be a mass layoff, and that it's not just rumors that they read online. It's like a player on a baseball team. You're reading that you're gonna get traded, and you don't know if it's true or not. And no one's telling you what's going on,
and that affects your performance because you're stressed.
Exactly. And I think that's stuff that needs to be put into play. But I feel I can personally understand if I am getting laid off and it's a business thing, you hate it, it fucking sucks. But at the end of the day, a business's number one goal is why I tell people when they love games and they enjoy the games from companies, don't get attached to the company, don't get
never
attached to the
get attached to the company,
because they'll do the number one thing every fucking time, which is make sure their bottom line is as high as possible and make sure that they are spending money in the right areas, because they are a business, and that is like their objective every time. It sucks, but you're gonna see even CD Projekt Red, I'd say one of the most loved companies right now, they will make a business decision down the line that will piss folks off.
Well, look at what's going on internally with them, where you have all these people reporting sexual harassment and all this shit internally too. And I'm just waiting for that moment where the outrage, not in a bad way, but the people who get outraged look at them, and now we're all talking about, let's tear down CD Projekt Red, which I don't believe should happen, but there's certainly a lot of what sounds like substantial claims coming from them too. Yeah, it sucks, dude. I mean, the thing is I'm just looking from the outside as somebody who's been in the position. Mm-hmm. But like it sucks. And then what bad timing to be like, okay, we're going to pay this person $12 million, and there's no other way to read that, right? There's no other way to read it other than that's a money grabbing, and we all hate Activision.
Yeah, I was going to say Activision's working against themselves with that timing.
Yeah. Oh, dude, and like that's why it's good that you tell people that, like, to not trust companies, because a company is not technically trustworthy. I think trustworthy is where trust is cost without return to me. If I trust somebody, it means I trust them to do something for me without anything for themselves at times. No company, guys, no company's doing that. That's not what a company is for. They're just not, they don't. I mean, every decision that we see, even if it sounds pro-consumer, is simply because they feel that they can fit into a niche that is pro-consumer and make more money than the typical choices.
Right.
And, oh, by the way, before we go, did you see that Bethesda, did you see the hirings that happened last week? Bethesda and the guys who do Dishonored both hired 3 employees whose expertise is 100% monetization. Yeah.
I saw a leak on Reddit that had a thing for the PS Store called Bethesda Forever, and it was $20 a month. There's no details on it. And my guess is it's going to be a thing announced at E3 that probably $20 a month access to all Bethesda games, and that's probably part of Bethesda's solution to get people in on Fallout 76, but also access to a game that they're excited for, like a Doom or a Rage 2.
I'm mad because you liked Dishonored Death of the Outsider.
I love that game.
And it's sort of like a Far Cry Primal, where it's a side game.
Yeah.
And
but a side game done right.
But a side game done right. I wish I would have liked to have seen them not hire a monetization expert, because that, to me, feels like the reaction, which we know was not good sales-wise to Dishonored 2. Prey as well, which fucking stunt. That's why I always tell people good ratings do not mean good sales. They in no way, shape, or form. And bad ratings do not mean bad. We have now in the last 3 years seen so many
great sales. You know that.
State of Decay, Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves got destroyed when it first came out. Yeah, dude, and that's all company stuff. Just don't fucking trust them. Just don't. And what I always say is follow the employees you like at these companies. If they're being laid off, follow them, because they'll be on Patreon. They'll be on. They'll make a development team. They'll like go to another company. Follow the people, not the company, because I just think that's going to burn you in the long run.
And that's what I love about the industry. That was like when this news started circulating, people from like all companies were posting job listings, and I think that's encouraging. I don't know if that means that person's going to get hired, but I think that's really, really good.
Dude, it's awesome.
Some companies do it for PR. I think it's just a good gesture.
Yeah, I never thought. Yeah, I mean,
Because like you
That's
said
pretty
that,
cynical, but for sure.
I know some people have the standpoint of like, if you work in, for example, communications, you're still a game dev because you worked as a part of the team, and I get that. I personally agree with that. But I know like some of those listings are for like a guy who does like IT, and it's like the people who got laid off from Activision. You mentioned like esports, community management,
administration. Yeah.
Exactly. And so that's awful, but it's like, how many spots are available for that at Bethesda, we'll say, right? And that's what really stinks for those folks, and that's why my heart goes out to them, man.
And that's why I hope those are the kind of people, though, that could help a Kickstarter. Mm-hmm. Those people that don't get hired instantly, that handle, let's say, so right now I think
we
the
saw
typical...
that with like Ken Levine's team. Like when everyone just got wiped off, they
went and did their own.
A lot of indie teams were formed off of that whole 2K part getting completely wiped out.
And what I'm hoping for is that the people that we don't normally get hired to these Kickstarters and stuff, because, for example, a lot of Kickstarters fail. Right. And they fail because somebody from a financial team is not working for them. It's Joe Bob and Maddie and Karak making a game, and none of us know what the fuck we're doing when it comes to finances or HR. Currently, I think HR is like one HR staff member for 10 employees, if I remember right.
Right.
So if those people, if I was running a Kickstarter, I'd be like, who's good working at Activision that handles finances, man? And let's get them involved day one, instead of like trying to go outside the industry for a non-gaming financial, analyst to help you with your patron. Get somebody, or help you with your Kickstarter. Get somebody from within the industry who knows what the fuck they're talking about. Right. And that's why I'm hoping that those guys too start to see that. I think they will, because dude, there was a lot of people saying like, hey man, we're looking for, we have spots open, or we have, this and that. And so, I mean, 800 sounds like a lot, but there's a lot of developers too. So my hope is, Ubisoft, Microsoft, Microsoft hiring a bunch of people. Yeah. I mean, I would love to see.
So.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah, it would suck to see anybody go just because of like a company switching their focus, which obviously they are.
All right. Well, best of luck to those who have lost their job, and we hope they do land on their feet. And as always, Karak, thank you for a wonderful episode.
Yeah, it was a blast. That was long.
Yeah, it was. It was 2 hours, 6 minutes right now. So
you're streaming, right?
Yeah. After every podcast recorded, I do stream. So
excellent.
That'll be a good time. I don't know.
What are you gonna do?
I don't know if I'm playing Metro or Apex yet. Cowboy and I were planning on Apex, but then I saw him tweet out he was having issues with his stream. So if he is, I doubt he'll want to play Apex. So if not, then I will start Metro. So
cool.
We'll see.
And FYI, Apex's servers were down for like the first 5 hours today. There were issues yesterday. We stopped playing, so we had horrendous problems after a patch that they released. Okay. You could try Anthem.
I don't have a code for Anthem.
Oh,
you forgot. EA,
well, no, Premier, $5.
Oh,
$5 or EA Basic still gives you it early for 10 hours for $5. $5, baby.
Maybe
that's a rental. that's a wait for sale. Wait for a deep sale.
All right, well, we'll see. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed episode 190 of the H.A.M Radio Podcast, and we will catch you guys next week. Peace out.
Peace out.